Welcome to Ben Nevares podcast with your host, Ben Nevares.
This is a nice little spot you got.
Thanks. It's been a work in progress.
Yeah,
It's taken me a lot of time
I bet.
to finally get personally comfortable in this space.
Yeah. How long you been doing this now?
I've been doing it for 2-ish years, 2.5-ish years, something like that. And I had a studio in Texas, in my house in Texas, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was carpeted flooring, and then I had some sound treatment stuff that worked really, really well in that studio. And the table setup, it was an entirely different setup.
Yeah.
And I really, when I first moved here, I brought the main things that I needed, and it was a little bit intimidating to start all over again in a new location, in a place that the design, for whatever reason, didn't make me feel super excited.
Yeah.
So these guys, those cabinets, they were already built in. Everything was it was a pre-furnished home when purchased, and so
Nice.
convenient.
Yeah.
Beautifully convenient. But since there was already something that I was working with, I felt like I kind of had to work around some stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also not my house. My house is the one over there. And so it was like, okay, should I move things? And it's like, no, you can move anything you want. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to, but I don't feel like I can. I'm not super comfortable in that space. So finally started buying things slowly. And then now we're finally at a really nice, comfortable space. I got these guys all installed 2 weeks ago, if that, about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
from an audio engineer. That's shout out to Bryce, who is the audio engineer on all of our audio. And so it was behind you is some more insulation, over to your right is insulation, very far over here on the left. All these things that help make the audio sound as crispy and beautiful as we possibly can make it.
I like it.
Yeah, it's been a really fun time.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. So you've done a lot of podcasts, it sounds like.
A decent amount. People do ask me to be on their podcast quite a bit.
How are you so connected?
You know what? I was born and raised in Vegas, so there's still some of us out here who have actually been here. I did live in Oregon for a couple years for college, but besides that, born and raised in Vegas, and I'm a people person. I just make connections everywhere I go, whether it's friends, networking, clients, and I really cultivate good relationships with people that I find to be high value, good people just to have around in your life. So I keep them close to me, and you meet friends and you meet people in your networking and your circles, and you do get very interconnected. So I usually always kind of have someone random reach out to me, and they know me or they know someone that I know, and it just kind of works out.
It's rare to find someone that is from here,
Yeah.
still here.
Yeah. Everyone tells me that. They're like, you're from here? I'm like, I was born and raised here, elementary, middle, high school. Literally just moved away for college, did my school thing, moved back home after, and been here since.
I cherish that ability almost. It's like I left home and then I left college, and then after college I left even further. Now I'm here in Vegas, and I've always had an inkling, maybe go back home one day.
Yeah.
But I never, also at the same time, don't have a strong pull. Was it a strong pull to come back? Was it guaranteed I'm going to go back to Vegas?
Generally, yes. I love Vegas. I think it's one of the best cities in the world. It's beautiful weather. You have nature all around Vegas, but you also have the nightlife in the center of the city. If you're an entrepreneur and a hustler, it's a great place to have a business. It's just a great place to be a young person, I think. When I moved to college, I went to Oregon, and it was beautiful out there. Oregon and Washington, probably the most beautiful states I've ever seen. And so when I was out there, I was like, oh man, I'm going to move here. I'm never going to leave. I love Oregon and Idaho and Seattle and everything up there. But once it started coming towards the end of like my schooling where I was about done, the strong pull was my family. So I just had a very strong feeling that I was at a point where my family kind of needed me and they were ready for me to come back, even though they weren't saying it. You can tell I'm kind of like, I'm a leader within my realm most of the time. And I picked up a lot of that role within my family, and I could just kind of tell like my family was ready for me to come home. So yeah, once I finished, then I moved back home, got right into fitness, and I've been building from that business ever since.
There's a lot to unpack there.
There is.
It's a lot to unpack. Leaving the Oregon like lifestyle seems to be difficult because it is so green and so pretty and mountainous, and yes, there's stuff here, but it's a different vibe.
Totally different vibe. It's a whole new world out there. And that was a big thing too. When I was deciding where I wanted to go for college, I got a lot of scholarship offers in like California. And I said, if I'm going to leave home, it needs to be totally different. I'm not going to leave the city to go to another city. So I started looking around different places. And I actually, 2 of my best friends went to the same school in Oregon that I went to. And then my sister was living out there at the time. So I was like, hey, I found this cool little college in East Oregon. A couple girlfriends are already going there. My sister's out there. Let me go here. And it was a culture shock. Like, there's no casinos, there's no gambling. Most businesses close at 5 or 6 p.m. You can't just go get tacos at midnight out there.
It's wild.
No alcohol on Sundays. Like, everything was just, I was like, oh, this is a normal city. You can't just do whatever you want all the time, which was cool, sometimes inconvenient. But what I really enjoyed is, like, the activities out there. We went into the mountains. We went mudding. We played in the snow. We went camping. We went fishing. Sometimes you would just take a drive. There wasn't all the city distractions. So you really got like the cowboy camping culture out there, which I loved. So it was really exciting to just dive into that and like have a little bit more of a simplistic life compared to the hustle and bustle of Vegas.
It sounds really attractive.
It was so good.
Like an opportunity to make some really hearty connections with friends and then kind of within yourself because there's not so many distractions.
Exactly.
Like really get to align with what am I doing and why am I doing it?
That part. That's why I say everybody, my opinion, everybody should leave their hometown, at least for a little bit. And, you know, I was 18. I was actually surprised that I was able to convince my parents to let me move away from home at 18 with a couple girlfriends who were also 18. But they know I had a good head on my shoulders and sports kept me in line. But when you go out, you know, 18, 19, 20, and you're a young adult and you don't have your family around, you're the new girl everywhere you go. And you just kind of have to like embrace it and get used to knowing nobody besides your 1 or 2 friends. But then you make all these connections. And I always say, like, I love being the new girl. I love just making new friends and like, oh, you're from Vegas. Where are you from? And just cultivating so many different connections. And, you know, people out there have a totally different background. And you meet people who have never been to Vegas, who have only seen Vegas on TV. So then you're like an alien to them. They're like, what the hell is this girl all about? Gambling
all the time and at the club all the time.
Literally.
Who is this girl?
They thought that we gamble all the time. Everyone's a cocktail waitress or a hooker. We all live in hotels. And I would kind of like explain life to them out there. Because if you think about it, if you've only ever seen Vegas on TV and in movies, you would think that's what it is. It's just a strip. And they'd be like, oh, you guys have schools out there and neighborhoods? I'm like, yeah, it's actually just a normal city.
Weird, huh?
The strip is just a piece of it. But it's crazy, too, because some people never left their small hometown in Oregon. And then I come in and they're like, who's this crazy girl from Vegas? And I'm telling them how it all is there. So it's like we both got to learn from each other. And I thought that was like, I still say to this day, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life was to move away from home at 18 years old. Even though I came back, just getting away and getting that experience.
I think even if I went back home, I mean, even now, if I went back at the end of college or today, it would still be like the best opportunity to go back home and like, hey, this is what I've seen about the world. This is what I've learned, and like how you can influence others, and like you guys should go out too, maybe like some high school friends or younger if like that school continues to invite you back and it's like, hey, can you like come see us or like see my little brother or my little sister. It's like,
Yeah.
there's a lot out there. There's a lot to do. And this is kind of how to navigate that world in a broad sense.
Yeah.
Maybe there are some specifics, but the specifics I feel like are going to be so unique to that individual and to that time that it's like, hey, these are just the broad ideas. Good luck, kinda
Yeah.
it's a good reference. You're a good person to be able to refer to for a lot of information.
Yeah. I embrace it. I'm like, ask the questions. I'm here to share it all.
And you moved at this point. Have you already considered fitness as like part of your future, or are you like hanging out, messing around, still having fun? Are you competing? Were you in a sport at that point? Where are you kind of at personally?
So I was actually in school for criminal justice. So I wanted to be a juvenile probation officer. So I was taking all my criminal justice classes, psychology classes, which in hindsight really helped me be as successful as I am now in my fitness business. But at the time, I was studying criminal justice, and taking the courses and the classes and learning about that job actually made me realize I do not want to do this job. I thought, juvenile probation officer, I thought I was going to help kids that came from the neighborhoods that I grew up in and really like give them that connection and help them get their shit together. And then I started taking the courses and I learned it's generally like a paperwork desk job. And that's not my personality at all. So I was like, all right, this will be cool to fall back on. I was done with sports. Once you graduate college, if you don't go pro, you're done with sports. So it's kind of this weird transition to be in. The first time in your life, you're not competing. You're out in the real world. I'm like 21, 22. It's time to find a real job. So
wait, hold on, back up.
Yes.
So 2 things. Can you bring that mic a little bit closer to your face? And then, yeah, beautiful. And then you're in criminal justice, juvenile kind of route. 2 questions. What was your influence, I guess? Did you see somebody else in that role and then decide like this is where I want it? Or it was like, I want to help other people inside of this space and try to give back? And then during that time, are you doing anything outside? Like, what does your college lifestyle look like? Not just going to school, because obviously we all go to class, but like, what are you doing?
So my college lifestyle was actually, I'd be in school. We'd hit the weights in the morning. So I played basketball, softball, track in college. So we'd hit the weights in the morning, and then I'd have school during the day, and then we'd have practice after school. And then after that, like, it was college. We would party every night, literally every night. So I'd get together with my girlfriends, and 4 18-year-old girls having their own house. You can imagine. We were throwing parties all the time, and we were like the Vegas girls, so we threw great parties. And people loved to come, and I would say it's kind of hard to not be distracted in college. If I didn't play sports, I probably would have been all over the place, but that's like your anchor, and it keeps you in line. So I feel so grateful that I had the college experience. Move away and have college parties and meet new people and call your parents on the weekends. And, your parents just hear about school and practice. They don't know you're partying as much as you are. Luckily, I had a pretty good head on my shoulders and surrounded myself with the right kind of people. But to be honest, many people actually do not know this about me. I don't talk about it a ton, but, I like you. We're here to let it out. I tried to quit college my freshman year. I was 19 years old. I had just moved away from home, and very unexpectedly, my mom passed away. And I just got a phone call from my dad one day, and my whole life flipped. And it was like a movie. Nothing made sense. Reality wasn't real. I couldn't fathom anything. I just remember crying and screaming and that feeling of not being able to be there, because I had my little brother back home, and my mom was definitely strong personality. She was the leader, and my dad supported her. And she passed away very unexpectedly, and I wanted to come home because I knew my family needed me, and I knew my little brother needed me. And my dad was just like, no, Mija, your mom was so proud of you for being in college. She would have wanted you to stay. And I tried so hard to drop out. I'm like, Dad, come on. And he was on me. He was like, you're not dropping out. She wanted you to go. She bragged I come from a certain type of neighborhood. Not everyone in my family went to college. So me going was a big deal to people. And my mom would tell everybody, I was her pride and joy just for going to college. And in hindsight, I'm glad that he didn't let me drop out. I wanted to so bad. It was crazy because that's my freshman year, and it was the first time I was away from home. And as soon as that happened, like, my sports performance tanked. I couldn't think. I'd be out in the outfield just daydreaming. I'd be on the court and I didn't know what was going on. And I realized I never thought it was possible. I was a little ignorant to life before this happened. I never thought it was possible for a person to feel so sad and so depressed and so out of sorts and so disconnected from everything. And so I was there going through the motions. And, you know, I grew up playing varsity sports like all 4 years. I've always been a top performer. And in college, I was like, this is the first time in my life I feel like I suck. Like, I'm not bringing value to the team. I'm not performing. And as a 19-year-old kid, like, you don't really have the tools to figure it all out. So now I'm sticking through it because it's the right thing to do. But my performance changed. A lot of things went downhill that year. I partied even more. And I just tried to, like, all right, Dad, I'm still in school. You know, I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to stick through sports, even though, like, it was so weird to not be the star of the team. But I wasn't there mentally. And my freshman year, like, I made a lot of good friends that helped me get through that. But I remember, you know, I used to be very judgmental of people who would say they were depressed, or even people who would talk about suicide. I'd be like, get over it, you're weak. This is like 18-year-old me. And then I got to this point in my life where I didn't want to live anymore. And people know me now and they're like, what the hell? We could never see that. You're so, like, go, 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 positive, upbeat. And, you know, you can never get past something like that. It just rocks your world in a way. Like I said, I only thought that shit happened in movies, dude. And then my whole family was on its head. And I remember just, like, crying at night sometimes and not even being able to breathe and just wanting to fucking die. And it's even wild for me to hear myself say that. But, like, I had no choice but to get through it. So I eventually got through it. And I finished college. I built a really good support team, but that's kind of where I tell you, I could feel that my family needed me to come back. My little brother was not doing good at all. He was about 16. And, you know, no matter what anyone says, a boy needs his mom. And he really, like, he spun and had, like, a depression, and he went really crazy. And my dad is, like, pretty old. He's older than, like, your average parent. And I knew it was a struggle for him dealing with my brother. And, you know, I thought about my little brother a lot. You know, your mom dies and then your older sister's gone from the house. Like, how hard that must have been on him to not have, like, just that female love and influence around. So I really moved back home from my dad and my little brother. Like, I just felt like they needed me, and they would never say it, but I knew they did. And so when I moved back home, I was like, you know, I'm just going to get a job right now. I don't know what I want to do, but I grew up playing sports and I love fitness. So I started applying at, like, Nike and Big 5 and 24 Hour Fitness and LVAC, just anything sporty. And I remember I was on the computer at like 2 a.m. applying for jobs. I'm like, all right, I moved back home. I need to get a job. And then at like 7 a.m, this lady from 24 Hour Fitness called me and she's like, hey, you want to come work here? And I was like, sure. I'm just going to be a front desk girl until I figure what I want to do. And then I performed really well, so they put me in sales, and I performed very well. And you know how it is, like, if you find someone who, like, can sell back in those days, like, they gave me everything I wanted. Just be like the Wolf of Wall Street, but you're 20 years old at 24 Hour Fitness.
Yeah.
So I got into sales, which really helped me for when I transitioned to becoming a trainer. So I was like, I know, no matter what, that's why I chose juvenile probation officer. No matter what, I have this just deep-seated need that my purpose is to help other people. And I thought about the juvenile probation thing because my older brother retired from law enforcement. And I was like, the kids from the neighborhood that I grew up in need somebody. Like, it's the hood. Like, you know how that goes. And that didn't work out, but I was like, I want to become a personal trainer. I'll help people get fit, help people get confident, help people work out their depression and their mental health and everything. So I got into training, got my certification, and it was around this time that I started boxing. So many people think I grew up boxing. I didn't start boxing until I moved home from college. And there was this random guy at the gym. Mind you, I'm like very depressed at this time. I'm just going through the motions. And the depression kind of hit harder when I came home because I was away from it for a while. And then you come home and you're like, the house is full of pictures of me and my mom and my dad and my brother. And like, this is the kitchen where my mom cooked family dinner. And like, this is the front yard that I would get in trouble for throwing rocks. And like, you just think of all these things. And
it's in your face every day.
That's what it was. And I didn't know it was going to be like that till I got there. And I'm like, why am I depressed again? I thought I was starting to get over it. And it's like, no, like this bedroom is like where my mom would like talk about the birds and the bees. And this is like, my mom was very open with us. So like, we just had this great relationship, and you never think that's going to end. And then you come home and I'm like, it's like drowning. You're just reaching for anything that you can hold on to get out of it. And this guy at the gym was like, hey, you should start boxing. And I was like, that's what I need. I'm very angry. I have a lot of aggression. I have a lot of sadness. Maybe I need to go punch things. And so we started boxing, and he's like, you're actually kind of good. Like, hold on. I want you to meet my coach. So he introduced me to like his old coach, right? And then this guy was like, wait, you're actually pretty fucking good. Let me introduce you to my coach. So I don't know if you ever heard of Johnny Taco's boxing gym.
I have not.
It's like a super old school boxing gym. Like the old school greats all went through there. Muhammad Ali's brother used to come through there a lot. So it was like a pretty known gym. I was the only girl in there for a very long time. But I went in there and kind of like had a tryout, if you will. Mind you, I'm like 22 years old, never boxed before, but I've always been athletic, like a natural. And I'm a lefty, which is really good at boxing. So I go in there and he introduces me to his old coach, which this guy, Coach Garcia, Cuban national champion, like one of the best And if you know like boxing, the Cubans box. Like they box. You have the Cubans, and you could go on, but like everyone knows. So he was a Cuban national champion. He moved to the States, you know, went pro, had his career, started coaching, and he was old school, like Rocky type shit. He didn't really smile at me. He didn't really talk to me much. He kind of like scoffed at me, like, why are you bringing this fucking girl into the gym? And I remember they were just having me do drills, mitt work, bag word, move like this, do this. And I thought he hated me the whole time because he just looked at me and like no expression. And then at the end of the workout, he gets a little smile on his face and he says, I'll take her. And he had like this very strong, thick Cuban accent. And he would always be speaking in Spanish, but he's a black guy. So people would be like, what's happening? He had his little afro and everything. Like old school Cuban.
Yeah, for sure.
It was so good. And he was like, I'll take her. And then I started boxing. I was a natural at it. I wish I would have started when I was a kid. I started competing. I was winning fights. I was doing very well. And he was super old school, super hard on me. And that's what I needed in my life at that time. I just needed structure. And my dad and my brother, I think, were also so depressed that like, and my dad's trying to keep a good face for us kids. And, you know, my dad's like pretty old school stoic, doesn't talk about his emotions. And I only seen him cry maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. And at my mom's funeral, like I seen that man cry like I never seen him cry. And they weren't even together. They separated when we were kids, but they were always friends and we were always family. So yeah, I started competing. That's actually how I got into boxing. And when people ask me about it, I'll just say on a surface level, like I just needed something to do. But if I like answer very honestly, like boxing saved my life. I was so fucking depressed at this time. And I had something new to obsess over. And I had someone new in my life being hard on me. And I started feeling this accomplishment of like winning fights and sparring girls and sparring boys and like just getting through these crazy tough things that I didn't think I could. And it came back to like me getting through these emotional battles. And it took years. Like this didn't happen overnight. It took me years to get like over my mom's passing, but just to a point where I could deal with it and talk about it and accept it. And I put all of that into my coaching and my fitness and my clients. And, you know, people think I'm like maybe intense and passionate, but like fitness fucking saves people's lives, dude. It saves people's lives. And that's why I am so passionate about it and try to give everything that I have to the people out there.
I guess I'm grateful that I've never lost anybody super close to me yet. And it's scary to think about. And I hear it and I'm like, man, like I can't imagine the turmoil that I may or may not go through. And I think either I feel extremely emotional about it, or I'm maybe on the opposite. Like I'm like two extremes. Either I'm very emotional or I'm absent of emotion. Either way, it's gonna teach me something about myself and how I react to loss.
Yeah.
And it's not something I look forward to, but it's such a normal human thing. Like all of us will experience loss.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in I'm curious in what that emotion is and what that, like, how does that change an individual's perspective or life? Because I know that it does, or I've heard from, like, I know from other people's accounts that it definitely has a pretty significant impact, but I don't know what that feels like personally. Like if you say, like being in a depressed state is something I can definitely relate to, and like having a hard time getting out, and then finally finding an area, some sort of outlet that finally, like, this is it for me, right? Powerlifting, being in the gym, doing the podcast, all of these things have served a specific purpose in my life at one point or another. It's like, I don't really feel like anything is mine inside of Las Vegas except for this one thing. And like, this is where I can like meet somebody and like connect. And like, I'm not the best connector outside of the gym or in the gym, or like out, if it's not at a bar, then I'm just like, I'm just not the best at it. So like, this is an easy way for me to find a friend. And so like, it's cool. The universe, either we create the opportunity or like the opportunity is right in front of us. You're just like, oh shit, like, hey, that sounds like an okay idea, I guess. And you do it and you're like, oh shit, like this is providing me so much more value than I ever anticipated. And fitness tends to be a really, really good one.
It really is. It just brings us together in ways that we think at first will be surface level. And it's so much deeper than that.
It's like, maybe on the front end it may seem superficial, especially if you're not in the gym. Like that's not your space. It hasn't been.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like I feel like there's very little superficial stuff. Like you can have like the, man, dude, I ate chicken and protein, like whatever. Like I hate this meal or whatever. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's to some degree that is. But then like working with a client and then seeing that client over years and like, oh, all my numbers are down in like for A1C or any of these things, like these common things that we find. And my bone density's up and like I'm feeling better. My life is better. And now it's like, it's not just the immediate effect of like, man, I'm looking pretty good. It's like 10 years from now, all the work that we're doing today is going to change you both emotionally and physically for the rest of your life. It's the fucking most beautiful thing. Like
literally the rest of your life. And it's hard to like convey that to people in the beginning because most people outside of the fitness realm see it as a superficial thing. Oh, you just want to look good and have abs and have a big butt and blah, blah, blah. And all that comes with it. But this is what I tell my people. Those are not the goals. You think those are the goals. Those are a byproduct. It's great that those happen. But you get in here and you start feeling confident about yourself. You start talking to more people. You start dating differently. Maybe your sex lives improves. Maybe your connection with your husband that you lost is back now. Maybe the way you treat your children. Like there's just so many things that come from being so happy, whole, confident, and wholesome within yourself. And it radiates to everyone around you. And that's why I tell people like that's really what it is. But it's hard for people to see on the outside until they get into it. And they're like, shit, like this is the value I'm really getting. Looking good is just something that comes with it. But these are the things, like you said, changes your life forever. You're not the same person after that.
I remember meeting with a therapist one time, and our first interaction, it was like an accidental, like I meant to click on one person. I was using BetterHelp, clicked on one person and ended up like, it was the wrong person, wrong meeting. And so it was just like, we're just going to sit and chat for an hour and then I'm going to reschedule after that. And she was like, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And I forget what the question was, but it was something around that involved my explanation of feeling like I can pretty much do anything that I ever want in life. And she's like, where does this confidence come from? It's like, well, I set my eyes on something and competing in something, and I achieved a large amount of success. I mean, that's anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like the work that you do in the gym is no different than the work that you do in your career or with your relationships or with your business. Like it's all right about the same. Like you need help. You need community. You can't do it all on your own, and you got to show up, and you got to really care. Like gotta put some honest work into it, and you're gonna get some honest returns back. It's if I'm half-assing, I'm gonna get a half-ass results. If I put my full ass into it, then I'm gonna get all that I deserve out of that opportunity.
Exactly. I think that's what I love the most about it. It's just easily identifiable metrics. Whatever the goal is, I talk about this with my clients a lot and my therapist as well, because she gives me the same, like, you're one of the most confident people I have. And I'm like, I know, but I'm crazy. And she's like, you're not crazy. Don't say that. But it's really like whatever the goal is. Okay, that's the goal. Every single goal has a roadmap. So if I want to become this or win this or do this, here's the roadmap. Some are longer roadmaps. Some have way more obstacles. But if you complete the roadmap, you will get the result. It's not this big scary thing. You just have to get that roadmap out. And that's what I tell people, you know, like especially in fitness, we get a lot of clients at first who are not confident and they're not sure of themselves and they don't think they can do these things. And I'm like, girl, boy, you can do this thing. Here's the thing. Let's make a roadmap. Okay, all you have to do is these things. The things are not hard. It's the consistency and the pursuit of the end of the roadmap. And it's like you said, once like people like us, like you compete or you do this hard thing or you make a successful business and you keep the promises you make to yourself and you're on your own ass all the time, everything in life's pretty easy. You just figure out, I need to figure out the roadmap. And like, that's the goal, is to transfer that to everybody.
I think how do you bottle that up and teach somebody that?
That's the $1 million question. How do you bottle it up and teach it to somebody? I think the most important thing, at least for me, is I put a lot of energy and time and effort into trying to bottle this up and give it to my clients. And, you know, the biggest thing to me is like leading by example and being inspiring. Like, dang, this girl came from this neighborhood and had these losses in her life and dealt with these things, but she's out here doing it. And I will say humbly, like, I work my ass off. I do very well. I've created exactly the life that I want, and it's only getting better and better and better. And my parents did not come from money. I don't have no husband handling my shit, no sugar daddy, nobody's in my life doing anything for me besides myself. And when you see that, it lets you know, especially like for young women, you can do it too. I'm not better than you. I'm not more special than you. I just have this relentless drive right here to do the shit that I want to do, and I'm not going to accept anything less than the life I want. And I think when we're so passionate about it and we provide that example, that's probably the closest thing you can do to bottling it up and giving it to them, is being it and letting them be around you.
I think I would imagine it takes a level of being of that authentic self, right? Like, no, I've fallen. Like,
oh yeah,
I've fallen a lot and I will continue to fall.
Yeah.
But these are the things that I've done to allow myself to get to this point where I can either avoid those falls. I've learned them enough, or I can surround myself with the right people, or I can, you have a more defined roadmap for yourself. And so then that is the roadmap for other people, which is that's a lot of fucking pressure.
A lot. It's a lot of pressure, but pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, if you're willing to be under that pressure, something good will come of it. I very firmly believe that.
It is, I think, like a goal, I think, of most people, of trying to be their own independent individual.
Yeah.
And I very similar but a little different background, from a town that was, like, most often people didn't go to college, even if they did, they didn't traditionally graduate. Not a lot of money in town. Like, we were given free breakfast, free lunch. It was a guarantee. I didn't even realize people ever paid for lunches and stuff. It was like, doesn't the school always offer free? It's like, no, you guys are really poor, so you guys always get free everything. Never paid for an ACT, never paid for an SAT. It was all government funded. And I was probably more of an anomaly in the fact that my parents probably did better than, like, a large population of my student body, but my grandparents as well. But, like, it was still being surrounded in this environment. People are getting shot or killed, or a lot of drug use, like constantly being exposed and around it. I think definitely made it easier to go down that route. And that was a really hard reality to face, when it was like, okay, I'm in this game now, what do I do? Like, holy shit, what have I done?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to be another stat? Am I going to be another statistic? Because if I continue down this route, I will be.
Yep.
And that's a scary thing to face.
It is scary, but motivating because it motivates you to stay away from that.
It's motivating, not just to me, but for other people. And I think the thing for me was remembering, like, if you do get out, you are like, you can show other people that they can do it too. Not any more special, not any more smart, not any, like, there's very little difference between me and that other individual that also comes from this maybe harder environment that didn't have the best outside influence from people who have graduated from Brown or they're at the country club. Oh, we play golf on the weekends. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was ever a thing. I thought it was always like blue collar work was the only life you could ever live.
Yeah.
And I didn't know entrepreneurship was ever like a reality. And even though my grandfather's an entrepreneur, it was never a conversation. So there was always a disconnect in information for whatever reason. And then it was finally getting out and like, oh, you got to fucking find it for yourself.
Yeah.
Like no one's just going to offer it to you. No one, not even your family's going to offer it to you. You got to find it. And it's been a motivating thing. And at the same time, it's been a really interesting learning experience.
Yeah.
Very interesting. How did you start managing your time and realizing, okay, like we're in sales now, right? That alone gives you some structure.
Oh, yeah.
Then the fitness and boxing gives you some more structure. How do you translate those outside structures like that external influence from a governing body, right? So like you have rules you need to follow within these places, and then now apply that to your own personal business.
It takes a lot of mistake making, time, change in perspective. Like I said, at the time I was in sales at 24 and I was like, just killing it. The most sales, I'm very competitive. So if there's like a contest or a metric, I'm all over it. So I'd be like just that young little hungry girl, like signing this and signing that and da-da-da-da. And at the same time, I'm like fighting and I'm winning competitions and like I'm doing very well and everything is great. But then it's like, how do I structure this all? And I am a firm believer in everything does happen for a reason, even if it sucks at the time. And I remember I was fighting and I was working and I was like very happy within training. This might have been right before I became a personal trainer. So I was still in sales and I'm fighting and I'm winning and I'm doing all this stuff. But like fighting is a full-time job. I'm getting up every morning, running 5 miles a day. I'm at the gym 6 days a week, 2 to 3 hours a day. Like, and my coach was hard on me. Like I had to spar with professional guys, professional girls. I had to do conditioning with all the guys. And when you're like the only girl in the gym, it's like, I have to perform because if I don't, they're going to say it's because she's a girl. So it's like, there's just always something to prove, always like, and there would be times where I didn't think my body could go anymore. And he would make me go and my body would go because you go into survival mode. And so I started applying that to like my business and just like not accepting failing as an answer. Like if this is what I have to hit, this is what I have to hit. And man, my coach would always like, he would kill me. And then he'd be like, all right, last round. And I'd give everything I had, every single drop. And then he'd laugh and he'd say, come on, one more round. And I'm like, you just said last round. I gave you everything I had. And then he's like, one more round. And then when you're in it, you do go into survival mode. And it's like, damn, I still have it. And then you realize like, you still have it. You need somebody to help you bring it out. And I remember one time I was conditioning with like his professional guys and he pushed me like hard. And I swear I was like, I started being like, okay, like, why am I doing this? You start to have those thoughts. And I remember he looked at me and he was like, what, are you going to cry? And in my head, I was like, yes, I'm going to cry. But I didn't. I was like, no, I'm fine. And I kept going. And so that like, it really pushed into my business. Like there wasn't any sales goal I couldn't meet. I just had to figure out the plan. There wasn't any amount of people that I couldn't help. I just had to figure out the plan. And this was like at the height of my boxing. I got invited out to train at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, which is a huge deal, like in the boxing realm. And when I was fighting, I would get a lot of offers to turn pro. People would come in and see me and they'd be like, hey, I got a promoter, you want to turn pro? Hey, I got a promoter, you want to turn pro? Like, and at this time, you couldn't go for the Olympic route if you were already a professional. I think since then it's changed because we didn't have enough like fighters representing us. So at this time, I was like, no, I don't want to be pro. I don't want to be pro. I'm like, the biggest honor in the world would be to like qualify for any Olympic anything. So I got invited to the Olympic training center in Colorado Springs, which really you only get out there if you qualify through nationals and championships and all this stuff, or in the very rare event that a recruiting coach sees you and sees something in you. And this recruiting coach saw me. I only lost one fight of all my fights, and he saw me at the fight I lost. That's the fight he invited me out. And that just speaks to what boxing is. Even if you lose that fight, and I lost by 1 point, he was like, you really have something special. Get your conditioning up, and I want you to come out here in 6 weeks and train with us.
Damn.
And so I'm like, all right, like this is it, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And then me being just a young punk that I am, not really like, knowing everything. I also was getting recruited at this time to play football in a women's tackle league. I don't know if you remember the LFL.
Yes.
So it started out as that lingerie league, and then they got rebranded, and it became like a women's football league. So I told my coach, like, oh yeah, like I'm going to be playing for the LFL. I was wide receiver, and I did very well. And I remember him telling me, like, what the fuck are you thinking playing football? You just got invited out to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. And I was like, no, coach, I'm an athlete. I can do anything. Yeah, right? So I start playing football. And I'm due to like go out for this big, big opportunity. The very first game of the season, tear my ACL. Well, it was the first practice of the season, actually. We were out at maybe Charlie Friz Park. It was a beautiful sunny day. So it was first practice of the season, getting ready for first game. We're doing drills. And I grew up playing sports. I've never had a serious injury. We do a drill. There's a little dip in the grass. I cut real hard. I feel a pop in my knee. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't think anything of it because I've never had a serious injury. Tore my ACL. I'm out of boxing. I'm out of football. I have surgery. And then...
Hold on. So you're like the most amazing opportunity. And like, I got to go to Colorado Springs. I got to go to the Olympic Training Center, and it was amazing. I loved it.
Oh, man.
So you're there. Usually with an ACL, there's not a lot of pain if it's a full rupture.
Yeah.
So you try to take a step and then realize, oh shit, I can't control my knee anymore, and so then I fall? Or are you still able to move?
No. So it's instant, and I swear like I saw it coming, but I didn't know what it was, but I saw something bad coming. So I'm a hell of an athlete, and I'm fast as fuck, bro. We're doing drills.
Fast as fuck, boy.
Fast as fuck, bro. Like, I'm telling you. And imagine, this is probably like maybe 8 years ago now, so I was even faster. And we're doing drills, and the assistant coach, so like we're doing line drills where you run up, and the coach points left. He points a football left or right. Wherever he points it to, you cut to the opposite side. And we are running at this man full speed. So a couple girls go, and he's kind of waiting a long time to tell us left or right, and it's the main coach tells him, hey, you got to give them the signal a little earlier. They're going to run you over. He doesn't realize how fast we're running at him. I'm like, dude, we need some time to react. So the main coach said this to the assistant coach twice. You need to send the signal earlier. You're waiting till they're right in front of you. Like, they're either going to run you over or they're going to misstep. And I saw it, and he kept doing that. And then I come up, and I'm a wide receiver. I'm fast. Like, I'm like, zoom, and I'm zooming towards him. And it's like, you have to give time to make that step. And I'm sprinting as fast as I can. And in my head, I'm like, he still hasn't given me the signal. And all this is going fast, but in my head, it's like going slow. I'm like, I just need to guess left or right because I'm going to run his ass over right now. And I'm a small girl, but if I'm running at you full speed, like, dude, you're going to knock over. We're both going to get hurt. So he doesn't give the signal, and I just guess. I'm like, step right. And I plant with my right leg, and there is a little dip in the grass. And he pointed the wrong way, or the opposite way anyways. So at the last minute, I tried to adjust, but my foot was already planted. So my knee hyperextends backwards. It wasn't even a lateral.
Rough.
Hyperextends backwards. I hear a pop, but there's no pain. So I'm not thinking anything of it because I've never had a serious injury. Sprained ankles and all that here and there, but nothing serious. So my knee swells up. And I don't think it's anything, but the coaches, I think they know I tore my ACL. And so I'm limping off the field. I'm like, I'm just going to ice it for the next couple of days. Like, I'll be good at the end of the week. And I hear the head coach tell the team captain girl as I'm walking by, because this is kind of all our first season together. I hear him tell her, damn, she was going to be so good. And I'm like, why is he saying that? I'll be back next week. But I think he knew I tore my ACL. So I go, and have the MRI. And I'm in denial this whole time. I'm like, it's just a little sprain, whatever. And dude, when they read me the news that my ACL was torn, it wasn't just about my ACL. It was boxing, Olympic training, like Colorado Springs. LFL was on TV at this time. All-Star game was in Brazil. There was like the whole world was in front of me. And when they told me this, I remember specifically I called my dad and the gentleman I was dating at the time. And you would have think that they told me I was getting my leg amputated. I just fucking cried and cried and cried. And they were like, it's going to be okay. Like, they're just like, it's just an ACL. You'll have surgery. You'll be fine. But to me, I'm like, all these opportunities that I got as like a young female athlete, you just see it go down the drain. And I was so just like set on getting back. I had surgery and then I got invited out to an LFL LA training camp. I got back into boxing and I did both of these too early.
Continue. Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I go back into football and boxing a little bit too early against doctor's orders. The doctor very clearly told me, it's only been a couple months since your surgery. You are not ready for these things. You need to sit down and rehab. And I didn't listen. I was very stubborn. I'm like, I can't sit down because I'll miss training camp. I can't sit down because I'll miss my window of opportunity. So I'm getting back into boxing. I'm in LA during a football camp. The whole day's going good. I'm sprinting. I'm smoking girls. Like, I'm killing it. And I remember my sister was out there. She's like recording. The very last like drill of training camp, lateral cuts. The first lateral cut I take, pop, pop. And like, I just kind of like stop. And my sister's like, I saw you stop immediately. Like, everyone could tell something happened, but I was just trying to keep going. And so I re-injured my knee. And at this point, I had to really sit on my ass for like 2 years and really rehab. And what also took a long time was like getting the fear out. Cause I was like, man, like, what if I tear my knee again? What if I tear my knee again? And then you're scared to go hard. And at that point, I slowed down a little bit on sports. I put a lot of time into my rehab, but that's when I really started to grow my business. I'm like,
as a coach, with all love,
go ahead, give it to me.
I am so upset.
Dude, I know.
And I know you are too, and I know it's not helpful that I'm upset as well, but
it's real though.
If you're like, you're not alone, right? Like, you are the person that's in the ring.
Yeah.
But you have people around you that are giving you so much time and love.
Yes.
And you're like, no, I got it. I'll be good. I'll be good. Like, don't worry about it. And like, that emotion that you're communicating to these people is so real. Like, so confident. And I should be fine. I'll be good. So stubborn.
So stubborn.
And the people around you are probably like, hey, no, really, like,
yes.
It's right in front of you. Like, hey, you see this? It's been 2 months. Right here says no. And you're like, it looks like yes.
It looks like a yes to me.
I think I'll be okay.
I'm telling you, when I look back on it now, right? At that age, confident, stubborn, arrogant, and to be quite humble, I had every reason to be like that. I always performed at a high level. Whatever the average pace was for anything, I was always ahead of it. Never had a serious injury. And so I was very but in hindsight, like, the people who were telling me these things had way more experience than me, and I should have listened. My mom would tell me this all the time when I was like 17, and she'd be like, look, you're going to think you know everything because you're 18 years old, and you don't know anything because you haven't had life experience. And when you're 18, 22, 24, you think you know it all. And now that it's like been 8 years, I'm like, man, I didn't know shit. I thought I knew, and I didn't, and I beat myself up a long time about all of that shit. But in hindsight, like, I really focused on building a business and giving everything I've learned over the years to my clients: fitness, experience, knowledge, competing, old school discipline. That's how I train my clients. Like, and that's, I think, why I do so well. We all need a hard coach in our life who will be relentless and honest with us, but still love us. And the fact that I'm able to give this to other people, and it's hard to find good trainers who really care, who care more than just about your 1 hour with them, who want to make sure that you're good outside of your sessions, that you're good on the weekends, that emotionally you're okay, and that, yes, you can text me on the weekend if you're having a bad day. Like, I'm not one of those coaches that says, don't hit me up. Like, girl, what's going on? What did he do this time, girl? Come on, let's go box. And it's hard to find female boxing coaches in Vegas that really know what they're talking about. There's a lot of good ones, but compared to like gentlemen and all that, or like finding a female coach who fought before. It's hard to find people who have fought so they know how it is to be in the ring and the pressure you feel and everything that goes up to it. And I'm like, damn, I can take this experience and give it to people now. And, I love weightlifting. I love every sport. Maybe I'm biased. There's no sport that gives you confidence like combat sports. Getting hit in the face and keep going. Getting hit in the face and shaking hands with them at the end. There's nothing like it.
There's definitely something different.
Yeah.
I've only ever rolled and done judo, and a little bit of kickboxing. So I've been punched in the face a couple times, but not like that.
Yeah.
I bet it's a different. Like, it's still the first time you get hit is like,
yeah.
What just happened? Like,
this dude just punched me in the face, and I'm supposed to keep my composure and keep going.
It's a weird feeling.
It's crazy.
It's a really interesting feeling.
But it literally transfers over to life so smoothly, because literally life hits us in the face all the time, kicks our ass all the time. And when you kind of get to that point where you're like, well, life is gonna hit me, that's just normal, I just get back up and keep going. Then it builds this like resilience and this confidence. Like, I'm not worried about getting hit. It's gonna happen. I just need to make sure that I get back up. That
is a very cool, I think, possible difference between the teachings of the two. I think they both teach consistency.
Yeah.
And they both teach hard things. Learning when to like back down and like stay humble and be like, okay, I need a couple days. Like, there are clients where it's just like, hey, I'm not gonna see you for a couple days. Like, go take your Fridays off. Like, we're not working out Fridays anymore. I'll see you Thursday and whatever other day. I'll write your program for these days. But I'm no longer going to see you on Friday. You're not allowed to be in the gym. Like, you got to take some rest.
Yeah.
Like mental, like emotional recovery. You need that in your life.
Yeah.
I think that what weightlifting or powerlifting taught me was, even under a grave amount of pressure, if I miss this, like my last meet, I benched 551. So if I have 551 in my hands, and anything that I do makes us like the slightest mistake, if I'm not like in my groove and focused on what I am doing to control myself, regardless of the exterior circumstances, then I'm more likely to achieve success. It doesn't matter what the weight is on the bar.
Yeah.
What matters is that I know what my checks are. I'm driving my legs into the ground. I'm keeping my chest nice and tall. I'm pulling my bar down exactly where I want it, where I've selected. I am in control of where this thing moves. And then I know when to press, and then I can control weight and rack. Like, I understand that I am in control of everything, even if there's an exterior factor that's acting upon me, an external force that's acting upon me. Very similar, but it's slightly different perspective from life is going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of chaos.
Yep.
But coming down to what you know, and like being that stoic and being that sage who just can concentrate and be present and say, hey, I'm here. I did all the right things. I'm drinking my water. I'm showing up every day. I did the work for the last 8 months. So now I'm just here to do it. I'm here to perform. And I know that I can. It's a different but similar perspective.
Very similar. And it is like such a beautiful way to look at it. Like, it applies to life. There's always going to be chaos. There's always going to be external circumstances. There's always going to be things that make you uncomfortable. But if you can just show up, know that you did the work, and like, this is what I got to do today. And if you can just do that every single day, I think you're going to have a good time in this life.
It's like the months, the years that it takes to finally get to that like national, international stage. And like, people lose their, like, I can't find my wrist wraps. People are like freaking out about the wrist wraps. And it's like, okay, well, this is an issue. Got to find wrist wraps. Slow down. Can't find them. Ask somebody else. Problem solve.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if I let this one circumstance like throw me for a loop, and I think we've all seen athletes that get to that, like that are new athletes or even experienced athletes that get to that stage, and then they're just like, everything's like, they're the most like oddly picky or sensitive people. And you're like, man, this is how you react under pressure. Like,
Yep.
we got to go back to the drawing board and work on this. I don't know how. Some people just they just can't. They just, it's hard for them to find that solace. Or I mean, maybe I'm not the coach for them to make them feel comfortable in that space.
Yeah.
But it's weird to watch people like flip out, and it's normal, but it should be avoided at all costs.
I would agree. I think it's been normalized, and then you almost see like, you see freak outs or like adult temper tantrums or spaz outs. And maybe a lot of what helps us deal with that is that we've grown up playing sports or competing, or, you know, like the only way to get good at dealing with chaos is to put yourself in situations that could potentially bring chaos on a very regular basis. And so you're like desensitized to it. It's just like, all right, this happened. What am I going to do? This happened. What I'm going to do? And these people, they're like, this happened. Oh gosh, everything's ruined, everything, and you can see them like, it's like an adult temper tantrum. They just freak out and they lose their shit. And I don't know if like they haven't been equipped with the tools. I believe you do have to seek out the tools. If you want to be this cool, calm, collected, strong, stoic person, you have to do things that make you be that person. You're not just going to end up that way. And that's one thing I value a lot in my life. Like, I generally am pretty good at just keeping it calm and cool and finding a solution. And it's because of the things I've been through. And, you know, like boxing, I always relate a lot of that when I'm trying to teach this to my clients. And I had a client recently, we were boxing, I'm teaching her drills, and there was a pretty loud class going on next to us, and like they're yelling, and you can tell she's just kind of like, there's a lot going on. And she was like, it's just so distracting. And I'm like, exactly. That's how life is. You're going to have things going on, and there's going to be your family and your relationships and your work and all this noise around you, and it's going to be so distracting. But can you practice right now staying focused on what's in front of you? Because the longer you stay focused, it's literally like being in the ring. You walk up, and in the beginning, I used to get a lot of anxiety. Everyone's screaming, everyone's cheering, your people are cheering for you, the opponent's team are talking shit to you, and the judges are just looking at you with this intensity, and there's lights, and it's bright, and like everything's happening all at once, and you just have to focus on the girl in front of you who's trying to kick your ass. But you get to this point where you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and it's kind of like, I would say, like a runner's high. Nothing else matters when you're in that zone. And I'd get to this point in my fights where like I couldn't hear the crowd anymore, and I couldn't see the crowd.
Gives me chills.
It's crazy, dude. Like everything is silent besides me and this girl's interaction. And it's like a respect between me and this girl. Like, we're not mad at each other. We are trying to see how good can we make each other by playing this chess game of punches back and forth, and everything around you goes quiet. And that's what I was explaining to my client. Like, if you can have so much focus that everything around you goes quiet, no noise will ever distract you. No people will ever distract you. You'll be so in your own zone. But you're never going to get good at it if you exit every time something throws you off. And that's where it comes down to. You have to stay in it. That's how you get good at it.
That's the fucking ticket.
It's crazy.
That's the ticket. It's even with, I think it does transfer to any single part of our lives. It's, all right, I can't read a full book in a day. It's like, you really think you start like that?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for me to focus. Yeah, it is. Start with a couple pages.
Yep.
And then months, years later, you can get to that point where you can just read a book seamlessly in a coffee shop, and like people will talk to you, and you're like, oh, wait, huh? Like what?
Yeah.
Like, it can be work, it can be school, whatever that focus can be. And then like, it seems like even everything around that thing you're trying to do has there's an order behind it. I'm driving to the gym. Like, there's a sequence in events and how I get there. I have certain music. And like, to me, it's normal, but to me, maybe 3 years ago, that wasn't normal.
Yeah.
Like, that's a different bend. That's a different cadence. And that focus just in that moment feels so good. Like, if you can look at it and recognize it, like, oh shit, I'm doing the thing.
Yeah. It's
feels
nice when
good.
you recognize it and you're like, I'm like doing the thing that maybe I didn't think I could do before. And I'm doing it pretty well because other people are asking me how to do it now. And maybe a couple years ago, I wasn't as good at it as I am now. But a couple years ago, I was aware and I was good for where I was. And then I'm like, man, a couple years ago, I thought I was so good. But right now, I'm so good. So then I think in 5 years, I'm going to look at this version of me of like, dang, you were pretty good, but how good are you now? So if you're always analyzing it, it's like you create its own evolution. It just gets better and better and better.
How do you stay in a place that's both respecting the future outcome, but then and like understanding that there's room for growth, and not taking away from the growth that you've already had? Like, oh man, I'm still not good enough. Like, I need to get better. But it's like, well, no, you've gotten better. Like, that's such a hard and fine line of, yes, I want to improve, but yes, I've also improved a lot.
Yeah.
Like, how do you manage that?
It's hard sometimes. You have to be, I think, just like extremely honest with yourself. And it is a fine line to tiptoe. And I try to look back on everything I've done and been like, you know what, girl, like you've accomplished a lot of your goals. But I never get to the point where I'm satisfied. If I accomplish this goal, that goal spawns a new goal. Well, maybe I wanted to get here, but I got here, and because I got here, and now I can see that thing over there. So let me go to there. And then I got to that hill, and I can see all these little hills that I passed, and it makes me like very humble because it's like, shit, like I worked so hard to get here. But I'm here now. I'm not just going to stop because I'm here. Okay, so what's that mountain all about? And so I think if you can't be afraid to look back and forth. You can't be so stuck in your own tunnel vision. I need to look back to see the accomplishments, but it's not just accomplishments I see like all the work. I see all the tears that came with those. I see all the lonely nights, all the isolation. And that's like, to me, what keeps you humble. But then I see these things ahead of me that are like, man, that'd be such a cool place to get to. And I'm not there right now. So how can I get there? Who are the people around me that can help me get there? Who's the advice I can take, the mentors? And so for me personally, it's like constantly like recognizing what I've done, but being open about like, I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm not as good as I could be. And having like honest conversations with yourself. I think a lot of people shy away from honest conversations with themselves. A lot of people shy away from looking at themselves in the mirror and just like being vulnerable and being like, am I as good as I want to be? Am I setting a good example to people? Am I an inspiration? Do people like to be around me? Am I not delivering like something valuable to people? Am I not having a good time with other people? Like there's always something to analyze, I think. And me and my therapist go back and forth about this a lot. I'm so critical of myself and I analyze everything I do and every interaction I have. And I'm just like so focused on how are the people around me feeling? And am I bringing something of value to them just by them knowing me? And I think like with anything, if you're just always analyzing it and honest and aware, like you can always stay in this healthy middle ground.
I think for some, like I am very much so that way, really very, very much so, of like this constant introspection and analysis that I believe is beneficial for me and then therefore for the people around me. If I am my best self, then the people that I'm around, if either through business or through like employees or coworkers or whatever, but also with partners or clients, then they get to see, like I get to bring my best self, and like I like asking good questions and offering fun environments outside of the workout. Like, yeah, we're here to work, and like that's guaranteed. We're gonna create a consistent schedule. We're always gonna be here, but like, how are you doing? And
Yeah.
Like the question that I'm asking right now is, who is Heather? Don't use your name and don't use your title. Who is Heather?
That is a good question. I would say she is this very soft person with a very hard exterior. And I believe that I do have a purpose here to inspire people, to make people happier, to make people more confident, to be that person that like is a light in the room, but also like your North Star. Like, who can you go to that'll really be honest with you? And not like cruelty honest, how everyone thinks you should be. Like, so lovingly honest that you take it no matter what she says. And that's something that I know I for sure I provide for my friends, my family, and my clients. Is just like, who am I? I'm the most authentic person probably you'll ever meet, because I've done so much work with myself. And it's a never-ending process. But you're right, like, no title, no name. I am this just loving, authentic person who's going to try so hard to make you be your happiest, most confident self and feel what it's like to be authentic. And sometimes that means I'm going to have to tell you stuff you don't like, but I'm going to deliver it in a loving way. I think a lot of people think like, you know, cruelty and honesty and you got to be mean. And I probably thought that way when I was younger. But I'm like, actually, it's way more effective to be so honest and direct in a loving way, because then it's received better. But you can't just be that way with people off the bat. You have to earn their trust, and you have to show them something that says, you know what, I should listen to her, because she's showed me every reason that she has my back and she's real. And I see the way she is with me, and I see the way she is with other people, and I see the way she is with herself, and it's all consistent. And if I could say like the person I want to be without a label and all these things, I just want to be a breath of fresh air and authenticity that makes people feel so safe and inspired that they can be themselves around me no matter what. And that they know if they're going off course, like, I'll tell them. Like, that's important to me.
Stuff like that makes me feel like it gives the opportunity to have some insight with that individual, and like asking those kind of questions and bringing that kind of environment forces people to look introspectively. Because I think a lot of times people don't have the opportunity to. Maybe they're just like so bogged down. They're looking for some guidance in their life. They're worried about work, and it's like y'all, that stuff matters.
Yeah.
But you'll find those answers through these questions faster than trying to bang your head against the wall of, well, I need to get a promotion. It's like, well, okay, hold on. Why? Like,
yeah.
What are you doing this for? Like, what is your purpose in life? Do you even really want the promotion, or do you want the money? Can you find that money elsewhere? Like, what do you really want to do? Right? Like, having those conversations, I think, are like the most valuable. And my client Mario talked to me about the I am, I guess, practice or protocol. There's a word for it that I'm looking for. I can't find. But either way, you write I am 20 times down on a sheet. And as you get further down, your last 5 are like the most impactful or like deep. You got to like really dig deep to find those I ams in those last 5 or so. And then those are your, like, you can do this exercise repetitively over your life, and you can kind of see where you're currently at and how you've changed, and are these changes that you're proud of or not so proud of. And I was like, man, I like this drill. Like, I like this a lot. So I'm going to incorporate that into my own life. And I would like to also be able to incorporate that into other clients' lives. Say, hey, whenever we first start, I want 20 IMs. I don't need you to show them to me, but I just need to know you did them.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to share, then great, share them. But what does that look like? You know, I don't know. And you get to track their progress over a couple like months, years. You can look even months later. Like, somebody starts fitness and like they finally start hitting a couple goals, and it's like, let's go ahead and hit the IMs again. And like, oh shit, like,
that's a good drill.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it will change over time. Even in a couple months, it'll change. And like you said, like, you don't need to show them to me. It's not important to me, but you need to do it for yourself. And then they start having those conversations with themselves. I think that's like a very powerful tool, like you said, for people like us or trainers like us to not only judge them on their metrics. How much weight did you lose? How much muscle did you gain? How about how much better do you know yourself now? How do you feel about yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to yourself or about yourself to other people? It's like those metrics that you cannot touch and grab. And it's mostly for them. It's not for us.
It's like the lasting benefit that provides is also like, there's a different, I love that. Like, it's different, but I feel like because maybe it's like we all can like, okay, hold on to the thing. Yeah. Look at, okay, that's your number. Well, this isn't really that accurate because it's not, because it's not.
Yeah.
Like, there are other, like, it's like, yes, all those things are cool, but you hit another 5-pound PR. Like, that's still very gratifying in some sorts of ways, but the gratification you get, like, I have clients that have just gone through divorces and say, okay, where we at?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel? Like, what are you doing about it? Like, are we seeing there? Like, what? Like playing in that
Dude.
world is different, and it's like that next partner that they have hopefully aligns with them that much better because they've done that introspection. They know what they want. They're willing to stand up for the things they want. Right. All of those things that go into that next relationship.
Yeah. I think it really does. Like you said, it shapes their life because now it's shaping their relationships. Now it's shaping the way they go about work, and it's shaping everything that altogether makes your life. And there's a question that I always ask my clients that for a long time I didn't know it was not a common question. It was just like who I am and what I ask. And I would get like kind of a like weird response or look. And now it's just like normal. They expect it. But especially in the beginning. Wait, cliffhanger. Can we take a bathroom break?
Yeah.
Thanks.
You say modern day philosophers.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's so Marcus Aurelius, these Stoic people, right? Very well known for being physically fit or active, like constantly working the body. And I think it was Seneca who, I'm going to butcher this entirely, I promise you.
Okay.
He said you must train the body so it's not a slave to the mind.
I love that.
And it was like philosophers, I think, are like, there's a weird perspective of them as people with glasses who sit in a dark room with some candlelight and they're just writing all the time. It's like these people like led beautiful lives. If you learn to just read about them and their lives, like beautiful fucking experiences. It's cool. I like it.
I would agree. And look at us now doing the same.
Exactly. Recording it in a different mode, but virtually the same thing.
Dude, I love it. And like, that's why I love doing podcasts and I love listening to people's podcasts because I just like, this person has a whole life of experiences that gives them this unique perspective and I get to hear about it. Like we live in such a good time that, you know, if I want to feel motivated, I'll listen to this person's podcast today. If I want to not feel so sad about this heartbreak, I'm going to listen to this person's podcast. If I'm just going through it, I'll listen to this person's podcast. And certain people are going to listen to me, you, and talk. And they're going to think about X, Y, and Z. And it is such just like a powerful, beautiful thing that we have these days.
It really is. I love music. I love podcasts. I'm getting more and more into biographies. I'm reading Phil Knight, I think is the guy's name. Is that Nike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm reading his
Nice.
biography right now. Just learning to like what other people have gone through. It just makes things so like I'm only in the first couple of pages of the book with Phil Knight, and the way he describes he's going on a run. He's 24 years old, just finished school, finished his master's at Stanford, and then that feeling of I want to do something big.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I remember that. Like, I remember like waking up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock to go to the gym and then to study. And then after the gym, I was like, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to train till 9:30. The coaches are kicking me out of the gym. It's like, fine, I guess I'll fucking leave. But being like so guided in the right direction by my thoughts, but at the same time by the opportunities that are like presenting themselves and that idea that you create your own luck. It's like I went and found that coach, but
Yeah.
I only would have found that coach if I was in that sport. I only would have found that sport if I had like my grandfather had built a full gym. So I had the opportunity to go to the gym every single day since I was like 5 years old, and like went with my dad. And then that relationship wasn't necessarily my favorite. And so it was like, I like the gym's like a safe place for me, man. Like this is my spot. And it's like, oh, you can compete in this? Oh, you can go to Team USA? Oh shit. And then within a year I'm competing for Team USA. Like crazy.
That's wild.
Only because, and then I had a lot of help along the way from all these people that were just good people, man.
Yeah.
Just really, really good people.
And I think that's like, it's an important tool to realize that we can learn from each other immensely based on like the experience you had and how did you feel about that experience and what did you do? And now I'm thinking about, oh, he went through this and he did this, or this person's feeling like this today. And so this is their mood or their bit. Like there's just so much that we can take from each other. And like, I think I was almost touching on a little bit earlier, something that I ask all my clients when we start the day, and new clients, they're kind of like a little like, what are you asking me? And I do this to my friends a lot too. And now they just like realize this is it, but I'll have new friends. And I always ask them, I'm like, how do you feel? How are you feeling today? And if I get a client, I'll meet them on the treadmill and I'm like, what's going on? How are you feeling right now? And they'll be like, I'm good. Cause they're used to like, how are you? And they're like, I'm good, period. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad you're good, but I want to know how you're feeling right now. And you can tell they'll kind of look at me. And some of them are like, you can tell some of them are like, fuck, nobody asked me how I feel. Or some of them are like, I wasn't even thinking about how I feel. And then some of them are like, you can tell it feels invasive to them. And then after a while, they kind of tease me now. They're like, sometimes I'll come up and they're like, I'm feeling good today. I'm a little anxious, but I'm happy to be here.
That's good.
But then they'll start recognizing their own feelings. And I'm like, well, why are you anxious? Like, what are you feeling? And I don't honestly, like at the point, I don't care how you are. That's just a very surface level. Everyone's going to say I'm good. No one says I'm bad. But when you tell me how you're feeling, new people, I feel nervous. Why do you feel nervous? Like, let's talk about it. What can we do to make you feel more comfortable? And sometimes people come in and they'll be like, I'm feeling really angry today. And I'm like, do we need to switch up weights to boxing today? Because if you need to get it out, I can change the program. And they'll be like, let's box today. And then sometimes it's an emotional boxing workout and they'll have tears in their eyes and they're like, Coach, I needed to fucking box today. And I'm glad you asked me how I felt. Because once you ask them and they say it out loud, they have to address it. And they address it, but then I also get to learn, like, she feels anxiety because this has been going on all day. He feels frustrated because work is happening like this. And then I get to analyze all these feelings and situations and apply them to myself. And I think that's where you just hit like this exponential growth and evolution. Is taking all their stuff and feeling it too, and like in an empathetic manner, like learning from it and applying it.
It's good.
It's wild.
Really good. I have a similar method, but slightly different. I ask, "How are you doing?" You always get like a
good,
usually a good.
Yeah.
And I always ask why.
That's good.
Why are you feeling good? And it's like, well, maybe I'm not feeling good. It's like,
yeah,
okay, cool.
Like, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Where are we at today? How are we doing? How are we feeling? Where are we at? Those are probably my 3 like entry points.
Yeah.
And then whatever they say, it's like, okay, why? And I think it just, I don't know, it brings everything back down to like normal or like home.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit. Okay. Like I'm present.
You're present.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy because when like we have these relationships where we realize, and I think all trainers, we kind of joke about it, like we're a therapist for a lot of people. But when you start having these conversations, you realize how rarely somebody asks you how you're feeling or why you're feeling. Most things are just very surface level and transactional. But we are spending an hour to an hour and a half with them. And it's like, yeah, we're going to do our exercises. We're going to hit our sets, but I'm not just going to be silent on your rest periods. So like we start to have conversations and you realize how much these people needed to talk to us that day. And sometimes vice versa too. Like
seriously,
maybe I needed to talk to you today or listen to you. And that's a cool thing about having such a variety of clients. Like none of us have the same 30 clients. I have like the guy, the girl, the doctor, the dentist, the lawyer, the soccer mom, the anxiety guy, the autistic girl, the shy, the overconfident, like every type of personality we get to spend an hour with. And I think it's like, it helps us heal just as much as them.
I think so. I think it forces somebody to think. I think it forces me to think about my life maybe sometimes differently.
Yeah.
Or recognize the way somebody else handled a problem and how they're going through it. And also learning to meet, like if I have an allowance for somebody else to meet me and say, hey, I'm not really feeling that great today. Like I would rather do this. Okay, got it. Cool. Like let's do this instead. Today's actually going to be more of a mobility day. We're going to stretch, maybe do some myofascial release, whatever. Like we're going to change the program a bit.
Yeah.
I need to give myself that same kind of love too. And that's not something I ever really recognized. And so it's like you can let other people have their off day, but you can't.
Yeah. And we're so good at giving it to them, but not to ourselves. Because I'll get the same. And that's where I applaud like trainers like us, because some trainers are just rigid and they're like, this is what we're doing today. But I'll get somebody in, and I think last week one of my old ladies was not having the best day, and we had like a lifting day, and she expressed how she was feeling, and she didn't ask for it, but I said, you know what, would you rather like do some stretching and yoga today? And she's like, please, like, thank you so much. But it's like you said, like, we're willing to listen to them and say, hey, like, it's okay to give yourself a day to feel how you're feeling. But I swear, in our industry, we do not do that for ourselves. We just keep going, and we're hard on ourselves, and we have to perform, and we have to show up, and we can't have a bad day. And it's like, if we could be as graceful with ourselves as we are to our clients, like, just imagine where that would put us. And I don't know if it's like a trainer type A personality thing, but we do not do that for ourselves.
I think I've gotten better at it, but I initially try to cover it up with anything on the exterior that I could. So it was either using drugs, or it was trying to like get hopped up on caffeine. Like, no, everything's fine. I slept like shit. I drank last night. I can't do it, but you know what? Just have another 300 milligrams. So you'll be good.
Yeah.
You'll be good. It'll be time. Anything that I could possibly do to make sure that I was still up for that person. And I don't know what it was, but I finally I think it was that like, I can give this person some space. Why can't I give myself? And then I started to just own because you ask somebody how they're doing, good or whatever, and then sometimes, I mean, if you have, I think, good clients, then you are what you attract, and so like you if you end up getting some good clients, they're probably going to ask you, how are you doing too?
Yeah.
Right? And I became authentic. Just be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, dude, like not the best today.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. Like, why? And
Yeah.
it's like, we're going to talk about it, but we're going to move forward, and this time is for you, but also kind of for me, man. Kind of for me.
And it's really cool because when they get a little piece of that, it's like you kind of see like their eyes open, because they think that we're all just these perfect robots that eat broccoli and chicken and don't have bad days, and we're so fit and we're trainers. And like when you do let them in a little bit, it's like, damn, my trainer's actually a human being, and they have bad days too sometimes. And sometimes like they get to feel just as important by listening to us. And like, you know, you'll have one of those really good sessions or those days, and it just makes you more human to them. And that actually makes your training better. Them not thinking you're this like person way above them. You're right here eye to eye. I just have this background, this experience to help you get where you're trying to get in these particular goals. But it's very powerful.
I think the constant pursuit for interpersonal development, I think, gives an insight to other people that you are also human. And it's like, I started competing in CrossFit. I was like, I want to try a new sport.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? And then I didn't do very well. Like 24.1 was absolute shit. I did terribly. And I posted about it. I didn't finish. And one of my clients messaged me, was like, it's nice to know that you're still human. And I was like,
That part.
that's wild to me. But at the same time, like, I'm sure it's like, oh, this guy's always working out. He's always fit. And it's like, doesn't matter. Like, there's levels to this in different areas. Like, this is just, I was good at one thing, and I got to start at the bottom again somewhere else. Like, it's hard, but it's normal.
And I think it's so beneficial for them to see us be normal too. And just to recognize, like, we are just like you. Like, we have bad days. I'm not good at everything right away. I'm like trying to figure it out just like you are. And I think that's like a very powerful part of just like them believing in themselves a little more. It's like, damn, my coach is a human being too. Like, we're literally all in this together.
Seriously. And it's like the business side of it. I hope that I think I get to learn from a lot of my clients, because a lot of my clients either own their own businesses or have had or they're attorneys, and so they see other people's businesses and stuff like that. And I used to work at a country club, and so everybody was like inside of their own kind of business in some sort of way. I think like the pursuit of understanding the business side of things and going as an independent gives, I think, if those clients pay, like the clients that do pay attention to that, it's like, oh shit, not only do you have a pretty well, like an elaborate or an extensive knowledge in the health and fitness space, like how to operate this thing that I exist in, but you're also learning marketing and e-commerce, if that's part of your jam for a coach, like networking opportunities. Okay, now how do I put my money? Now I'm making money. Where do I put it? Do I invest it in real estate? Am I investing in the stock market? Like, how am I playing this game, this chess game that's adjacent to this thing that is fitness. It's wild.
And it's crazy too, because I think most people don't realize how many hats we have to wear. They just say personal trainer, know your shit about fitness and nutrition. But really, it's like you said, like, okay, but I'm running my own business. So I have to be the personal trainer. I have to be the accountant. I have to be the marketer. I have to be the social media girl. I have to be HR. I have to be time management. Like, it just goes and goes because there's so many layers to it. And then, like you said, okay, now I'm doing a little bit better for myself. How do I invest my money? What do I do now? Now I have to create new businesses or new realms or new things, but I still have to be this great personal trainer. And it's a lot to deal with sometimes.
It is.
And it can become overwhelming. And I think that's like where we just have to dial it down and recognize it's just all these different moving pieces and you stay on top of it. But it really, in the background behind what people see, there's so many moving parts to it. And it's a hard industry to stick it out in. I've had people that have met me and have been like, wow, like, I'm really surprised you've been able to make a career out of this. Because you see a lot of part-time personal trainers. It's just a side gig. They have like their main job, but they just train here and there. And like for people who like us who are full-time trainers, there's no here and there. Like you have to sink or swim. And for most of us, there's no sinking. So you figure out a way to swim. So it's constant. There's never downtime.
It's hard.
It's fucking hard, dude.
It's a hard industry. And part of me hates the term personal trainer. Like, there's another phrase that I want to use, or another title that I would like to use, that I think truly gives the respect to, I think, because what we do as independent is different than being in a big box gym and being a trainer. Like, there's just a different approach. And it's like you have this title of like doctor, attorney, like they come with an automatic sense of respect. And I think because there's a lot of people who are the part-timers or people who are not the most qualified.
Yeah.
That give the space such a bad rap.
Such a bad. And it's like you said, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate because we're all called personal trainers. But the ones like us who are running a whole business behind it, you're not just clocking in at a box gym. And the people like us who really care, like who really care how we affect these people. The title personal trainer does no justice. It's so much more than that.
I want to come up with something else. I just don't know.
We should come up with something else. And it'd be hard to convey all of it into one title. Like personal trainer, emotional therapist, high performance coach. Like it's just all in one.
Because you do have a lot of different athletes, right? You have the geriatric population, and then you have all the way down to a 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid that's like learning how to be in fitness, right? Like you have such a large population to service that you can service. It's like, yes, you can niche, and that is in its own space, but like I think when you're a trusted coach, it's still not enough.
It's still not
enough. But when you're that trusted person, it's like you made my life better. Like, can you work with my son?
Yeah.
And it's like you're applying the similar principles. You're meeting them where they're at, and you understand enough biomechanics and anatomy that you're like, yeah, I can train this person to this point. And so you have to wear not even just a lot of hats in like personality types, in understanding of business, in exercise phys, in rehab, oh man, it's endless. It's endless. It's amazingly complicated and beautiful.
Complicated and beautiful. Because there's so many layers to it. And it's like you said, it's more than wearing so many hats. It's like it's being so many people in one person, if that makes sense. And it's like you said, like, I always tell people this, like finding a good trainer, knowing your shit about fitness and nutrition and biomechanics, that's the baseline. That's the very bottom of it. It goes so far beyond that of like knowing personalities, having emotional intelligence. Which client do you need to be a boot camp instructor to get through them? And which client do you need to sit down and have an emotional conversation to get through to them? And then it's like you said, oh, they get to trust us. Well, can you train my daughter? Can you train, my mom, my dad,
like,
and then you have to start peeling back all these layers of yourself. And I mean, I love it and it makes us who we are. But it is, I find that I train, like I have my people, but I always end up training their friends and family. And then it's like, okay, I'm training her and she's the mom and she's a little older than me. And these are the things we talk about. And this is how we connect. And well, now she wants me to train her teenage daughter. And now like, okay, like to the teenage daughter, I'm like that cool coach that she'll listen to because she doesn't want to listen to her parents. And sometimes we talk about school and sometimes we talk about boys. And, I try to be a very good example, especially to the teenage girls, like, just respect yourself and da-da. And then it's like, oh, can you also train my 6-year-old? And it's like, okay, so I have to be able to entertain a 6-year-old for the whole time. And we're going to run around a little bit and we're going to do some drills. And then we're going to run around more and we're going to do drills. And then we're going to play a game because you have to keep them engaged. So then it's like, wow, like I have to be so many people in one person to make sure all these people are taken care of.
It's wildly cool.
Dude, this is why I think we all need to be in therapy.
This is a good point.
You just got to filter it out.
Yeah. Being in therapy definitely helps. And yeah, because
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm very open. Like I'm like, oh, me and my therapist, this and da-da-da. And, I go see her once a month and just like, I take a month's worth of like emotions and venting and accomplishments and failures and I unload it with her. And I kind of find that some people shy away from saying they're in therapy or saying they have a therapist. And so I'm so open about it and people will kind of give me a response of like, you don't seem like you need to be in therapy. And I'm like, that's why I'm in therapy. Like, you don't just do it because your life is shitty and you're depressed and sad. And actually, I always tell her that she's not my therapist. She's my mental and emotional health coach. And I have a coach in every realm. And we all need someone to just like listen to us, let us vent, process. And I get to the point where like I'm talking to her, but talking to her is what's helping me analyze myself to find my own solutions.
100%.
And it's like we all need a coach. Even coaches need coaches.
100%. Even coaches need coaches. So I want to get a little bit into the business. How did you grow your company?
So it's actually really crazy. And it's like I told you, everything that we think is bad, maybe if it's bad in the moment, you can usually take something from it, right? So I grew up with my parents pretty old school. It was all about working hard and saving. Find a job that you can get like retirement and a pension. So I grew up with this like, okay, work hard, save. And I'm glad that I have that as a foundation. But I didn't learn about investing and taking risks until I started having clients. Because you know how it goes, like most of your clients do well. That's how they can afford training. So I started having clients at 24 Hour Fitness and they were all people who own businesses, or they're a dentist, or they're a doctor, or they're da-da-da, all these things. So then I took the space of work hard and save, which just helped me. Like, I work hard, especially for a young lady. Like, I work hard and I'm pretty smart with my money. And then you get into meeting people who know how to invest and take risks. Like, you have to take a risk if you want to invest and make some money. And that old school thinking is not about taking risks. It's just play safe. Get a 9-to-5 that's going to give you a pension. And so I started getting into this realm of like, I want the lives my clients have. They have business, they have a nice house. Like, they tell me how they took their kids on a family vacation. I didn't know what that was when I was a kid. Like, families go on vacations together? Like, what the fuck is that? All I knew was like, I didn't grow up with a ton, but like we had food on the table and clothes on our backs. That's what was important. I didn't know about family vacations and all this shit. But then I started like, if I settle down and I get married and I have kids one day, I do want to give them a family vacation and have a nice life and set a good example. And that's where I started like having more of the entrepreneurial spirit. Okay, I can work as many sessions as I want to as long as I get my clients. Okay, watch me do this. Oh, I can get a bonus if I work this many hours. All right, watch me do this. And you start growing. And I was at 24 Hour Fitness. Me and one of my other buddies were working there, and we were on a grandfathered compensation plan, which at this time was pretty good. If you worked your ass off, you could make money at 24 Hour Fitness, big box gym, right? Commission and bonuses. And I was always hitting my commission bonus. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm a vibrant girl full of like charisma and energy. I'm single. I don't have kids. I can put everything into my business. So I was doing very well, as well as you could do at a box gym. And I was successfully comfortable. I was doing good, but I was so comfortable that I wasn't going out of my realm to do much more. Plus, one thing that I really hated about big box gyms, they did not fuck around with overtime. Once you hit 36 hours, you weren't allowed to do more hours. And I got good. I got so many people results that I got more people. And then the people that I had wanted to train more often. And then I'm teaching like aqua aerobics for seniors. And I'm like, da-da-da-da-da. And then I would start getting flagged with this overtime shit. And I started being like, you know, can I cuss on here? Is that fine?
Yeah. Okay,
because I wonder if I need to avoid it, but it's just how I talk sometimes. But I remember I would be thinking like, you know, with my young little spunky self in my head, I would never speak to anyone like this, but in my head, I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell me I can't work more if I want to work more? I have goals to reach and you're going to tell me I'm only allowed to work this much? What do I do with all these extra hours? Like, so I started feeling like a little bit restless at 24. And maybe about 6 months prior to this, Jessica, the owner of Self-Made, had hit me up on Instagram. Like, hey, we see you're a trainer. We're opening a gym in Vegas, Self-Made. You can be independent, da-da-da-da-da. I went down there. I did a tour. I thought about it. And it's scary leaving a box gym where they give you clients and they give you a paycheck and they give you hours to being like, okay, you're independent now. So you do have to be the marketer and the recruiter and everything. And so I politely declined. I just wasn't ready. It was too scary to jump. And a couple months later, the fucking pandemic happened. So I think it was around March, they shut down the gym. March to August. So I was out of work for quite a bit. I was training at parks a little bit here and there and just trying to stay afloat. And then August came and we went back to work. Everything of our pay structure was changed. No more commission, no more bonuses. You're going to get a flat rate of, dude, you're going to get, and on top of this, they increased training prices. So no more commission, no more bonuses. You're going to get paid a flat rate of $23 an hour. Clients are paying $95 an hour. So, of course, dude, I'm like, what a hit and what a disrespect.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, we are the people that give you guys business. And I told you I was competitive. I was that trainer. January, number 3 in the company for gross. Oh, Heather, number 9 in the entire company for this. Like, I was always just boom, boom, boom. And so when I came back, I'm like, what a slap in the face. $23 an hour when they're paying $100 a session pretty much. And after taxes, you might take home $20 an hour. And I was like, what? Like, so then around this time, I think Jessica or one of my buddies had got in contact with Jessica. And I think they had asked about me again. And I was like, you know what? Let me go see what's up with this like self-made independent training place. And at this point, I had a lot of fire in me because I was angry with 24 Hour Fitness. And I remember when I told my older sister I was quitting 24 Hour Fitness. I'm a very loyal person. If you treat me good, I'll be on your team forever. And I remember she was like, you're leaving 24 Hour Fitness? Like, you are the 24 Hour Fitness spokesperson. Every time I think about 24 Hour Fitness, I think about you in that red shirt. And I was like, yeah, well, like, you know what? I just felt so like undervalued and disrespected by what I came back to. And so I decided I'm going to go independent. So it was that August, I finished out my last couple months at 24. That January, I started self-made, fully independent. And I took all my clients with me except one. There was one lady who had been there for 100 years. And I was like, you should just stay here. I'll find you a trainer. And I will say it was cool because most of the time when you quit at a box gym, they let you go on the spot because they know you're going to take your clients if you stay. And I told them I'm going to be making a transition, and they let me stay till December 31st. They're like, you know what? She's done a lot for us. It's the least she could do. And I did tell all my clients, I gave them the door. You can stay here. I'll get you a new trainer, or you can come with me where I'm going. But it's your choice. Yeah. They all came with me. So I got a really good start to being an independent trainer. It's because of the years that I put in at 24 to build up my business. Yeah. And I was like that spunky trainer. I remember I was training at the 24 Hour Fitness on the east side in the hood. It was so hard to sell training. They just didn't believe in paying for stuff like that. Yeah. And I could only really sell half-hour sessions. So I just sold as many half-hour sessions as I could. And then my buddy who was working at the 24 in Henderson, where people had money, he was like, told the manager there, he's like, I got this girl, Heather. We need to get her over here. So I do an interview with the main guy, and you can tell he was like, oh shit, I think she's actually gonna be pretty good. So he takes me on, and I remember, you know, when you first get in there and you're just spunky and full of energy, and you could tell the other trainers are like, oh, like, who's this? And that was me at first. I was doing free sessions for everybody. You want a free session? Boom. You want a free session? You want 5 a.m.? You want 2 p.m.? You want Sunday? Whatever people would train with me, I would take it. Yeah. I would do mitt work in the middle of the gym where everyone could hear and see it. And I would have dead time. I made myself a goal, like I'm going to do 10 free sessions a week. And that's a big thing. Like people don't want to do free sessions. And like, no, I'm trying to build and I'm going to show you my value first. You don't have to pay me anything. Let me show you, because then you'll pay. And I would always just try to find the most random people to give a free session to. And I remember there was this one girl in the gym who was fit as fuck. Like people were kind of intimidated. She was a fit girl. She was a power lifter, all that shit. And the gym was dead. Nobody was there but her and a couple people. I was like, shit, like I've already asked these other people. I'm going to have to go up to her and ask her if I can do a free session with her. So I go up to her, I start talking to her, and you could tell she's like, I'm pretty fit. Like I don't need some 20-something-year-old punk to give me a free session. But I'm like, I'm like, I know. But imagine if we just had a session where like, we'll hit your PRs. You got a spotter on every lift. I'll unrack and re-rack while you just set your shit up. Like how much faster can you get a quality workout in? Just let me give you one session. Help me out. And she's like, all right. So she didn't need me to like learn how to lift and all that. She had that down. So I gave her what she needed in that session. I re-racked, I set up all her shit, I spotted her on everything. We hit PRs that day. And she told me like, wow, my workout goes way faster when I have someone doing all this shit and I just lift. And so she would buy a package from me and she would just train with me like once a month when she wanted to do PRs. But it's like little things like that. You have to give your value first. Yeah. And so like, when I'm training new trainers at Self-Made, because that's my role there, it's not just about my business. Now, as the manager of Self-Made, I need to help new trainers get business. And when we do take the time to sit down and talk, it's like, you need to do free sessions. You need to give your value. Once your schedule is crazy booked, sure, you don't have to do any of that. But if you are not booked, you're not too good for anybody. You need to show your value. And I'm pretty booked, but I still give that approach. Like, I will show you what the value is, and then you'll come to me. I don't have to do all this other weird shit that people do.
2 questions. What is the weird shit that people do?
So to me, weird shit that people do, and when I say people, I mean trainers in our industry. Yeah. I'm not doing a free session and I charge for consultations. So it's like, okay, that is one way to go about it. But if you're a trainer who's complaining that you don't have business, who do you think you are to say you won't do a free session? Yeah. Because how do you build? So, and I guess to me, just like you have to know your value enough to give it. And this is what I say. I don't charge for consultations, because me charging for a consultation means that I definitely want you as my client and you're going to pay me. It's a free session because I'm also interviewing you. I might not want to work with you. We might do a consultation, and if I don't want to work with you, I don't want to worry about giving you money back and doing all this. It's like a first date. Nobody needs to invest anything. We're both showing up to meet each other. And if I decide I want to work with you, I will allow you to pay me money. That's how I see it. I'm not just going to demand your money, because it means that you're allowed to be on my team. Money is not enough to get on my team. Anyone has money. Do you have a good attitude? Are we going to vibe well? Are you respectful? Do you have like a humble, just like you want to learn? Because every now and then you meet people that are like, in all my years, I've only had to fire 2 clients, and they were both chicks. And they were like, I don't even call girls the B word, but these girls were Bs. And I was like, you know what? I have another trainer that I think you'd be a better fit with, because my time and my energy is very valuable. And I take a lot of pride in, I can turn almost anyone's attitude around. Might take me a couple months, but I'll flip that shit. But these 2 girls, like, you could just tell no one in their whole life ever told them what to do. And so I guess, yeah, that's kind of what I mean when I say like that weird shit is just like not being humble enough to realize that you need to earn business and you need to earn people wanting to work with you, but also they need to earn it. Everybody has money. Let's take the money out of the equation. Do I want to work with you?
It's a very, I think as an early trainer, it's just like, I'll take anybody.
Yeah.
But then you really get to understand, not everyone's for me.
That part.
And I'm not for everybody, and that's cool, but I definitely don't want to work with certain people. Like, you're going to constantly, like, you can pay me a guaranteed X amount of dollars per month, but if you're going to reschedule me half the time, or last minute, or just no show, or just have like that bad attitude.
Oh.
Or get mad at me for like your lack of progress. That's one thing that frustrates me quite a bit. It's like, you're going to get mad at me for your lack of progress when you aren't doing the things that we're talking about. You're not doing the workouts. You're not listening to my cues. You're not, like, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else on my team is doing great. So who's the outlier here? Is it me? Is it you?
Yep.
I don't want that on my team.
And you have to have those conversations with them sometimes too. And generally, I think I found a way to make it good. Oh, you're not hitting your metrics. And all my other people who are listening to what I tell them are all hitting their goals. And you're not. So are you really doing what you say you're doing outside of here? And most of the time, it's a good, fun conversation. Sometimes you got to get a little serious on them. But I'll kind of flip it and put it back on them, and I'll tell, maybe I'm training one of my girls and we're not hitting our goals, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm not as good a trainer as I thought I was, because you're not hitting your goals, and I think I'm doing everything. And they're like, no, you're a good trainer. I'm not following the nutrition plan. I'm not doing my homework workouts. And then you can see that they do take accountability, but we have to have a conversation about it. I want you to be successful, but I can't follow you around outside the gym. I can't slap that food out of your hand and put your ass on the treadmill. You have to show up just as much as I am.
The slapping the food out of my hand is a big one. Or out of your hand is a big one. I had a client. It was yeah, but I don't you're here, but I don't I'm not paying anyone to slap food out of my hand. I was like, yeah, nobody does.
Yeah.
Step the fuck up. What are you doing? You recognize that this is an issue.
Yeah.
So solve the issue. Otherwise, you're just complaining to the air for your own satisfaction.
Yeah.
You're going to continue to do it. I think there's also giving someone the meeting with them where they're at. I think is also I don't need everybody to be squatting 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. You're 60 years old. We can make 5-pound gains every so often. And we're here and we're having a good time and we're moving and we're working on these things.
Yeah.
Performance is relative. I think is also something to remember. Just because that person isn't moving as fast as what we would maybe deem necessary for that person. It's maybe this person's also depressed and hey, we're working through it and we got it. We're going to get there, but there's effort. I think that's the big thing. It's you're putting in effort, and that's the valuable piece, and you're accountable for the lack of effort. It's I didn't really get to do this weekend, and I'm sorry, but this is kind of where I was at. Cool. All right. How are we going to find the solution to this problem? That's not going to work for you. What about I had a client, and she's an accountant. It's we write things down so it's visual. It's I'm not thinking about the things that I'm eating. I'll just get up, I'll grab a snack, go sit down. But then I realized I've gotten up 4 times. I was okay, well, every single time you go to your snack drawer place, you have a thing that you can write on, a whiteboard. Mark it 1.
Yeah.
Mark it 2, and it's oh shit, I'm already at 3. Got it. All right, now let's bring it back in. But it's the understanding that's where that person's at, and this is how we're gonna solve this problem. It's fun. It's problem solving.
It's problem solving. Like you said, each person's different. Sometimes the accomplishment is just that you showed up every day this week. And, to us, to them, the numbers on the scale is very important. And I think for us, it's so this is what I tell them. If you do X, Y, and Z, just how I explained to you, there's no way you're not going to hit the numbers on the scale. You just have to do X, Y, and Z. Now, the really big accomplishments are dang, you didn't miss one workout this week. Dang, you treat yourself with respect when you go to restaurants, no matter what day it is. If it's a weekend or this, you just treat yourself with respect to your goals. Those are huge things to me, because that's, like you said, it's what creates the habit and changes the lifestyle.
I like it. There's another part about business that I wanted to get. How are you marketing yourself? Getting these free sessions, right? Those, giving free sessions in a box gym, it's that easy, right? You see this girl, I'm going to offer you my time.
Yeah.
That's it. In a private gym, you have to find those elsewhere.
Yeah.
How are you finding those people?
So I would say for the most part, word of mouth. My clients bring me their friends. They bring me their family. And that just circles to me doing really well with my client, helping them hit their goals, giving them someone to talk to, giving them a coach that cares about them more than that 1 hour that you're seeing them. So I would say for sure, number 1 is word of mouth. And we're all more interested in working with people that our friends work with, because we know they like them. They know they trust them. They know it's probably a good situation if your friend or family member is still seeing them. And I have clients that I've had literally since I got certified. I have clients that have been with me for 8-7 years.
That's freaking cool.
So that part right there, it's they will come. I don't have to try very hard anymore. Now, when I was young, you got to hustle, At this point, I don't really have to go out of my way to get clients. I do the work that's needed to accomplish my goals. But I love my clients because they bring me people. And then next to that, I would say social media is such a powerful marketing tool. I can put a video on Instagram of a boxing boot camp class. And then all of a sudden, all these people are seeing that. They shoot me a DM. Hey, I've never boxed before. What do you think about this? Hey, what's your schedule? How much are your classes? And I have such a variety of people that I train too. Young, old, middle-aged, guys, girls. Anyone can learn boxing or weightlifting or whatever the thing is. And so I think that just like not being afraid to be visible on social media, post your own workouts, post your old lady boxing, post your little kid learning a new exercise. Like those would be probably my top two. And then third, I'm a social butterfly. I make friends everywhere I go. I network everywhere I go. And like when me and the girls have a night out, we all go through our checklist. And I'm like, all right, phone, keys, chapstick, debit card, ID, business cards. And my friends are like, why do you always bring your business cards out? We're going out to have a good time. But I'm like, yeah, but you never know who you're going to meet. You never know if you're going to meet someone who really fucking needs you. They need a coach in their life who really cares about them. And I think it's pretty normal in conversation. You always get to the point of like, what do you do? And, you know, they see me and I'm just like this nice, chill girl while I'm out just having a good time. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a boxing trainer. And they're like, you're a what? I'm like, oh, yeah, I train people in boxing. And then it starts a conversation. And then they're like, da-da-da-da-da. And I will say generally, like, from that conversation, I'm like, just come down to the gym. Come try it out. And if they're hesitant, usually I'll wait till they ask me if they can try a session. And then I'm like, all right, yeah, come try a session. Or if I can tell they're really on the fence, I'll say, just come take a class for free. Come hop in a class and then you see if you like it. And they always like it. They love it. So those would be probably my top three: word of mouth, social media marketing, and just being out there networking face to face with people.
I think those are the classic but tried and true methods of business development and growth. It doesn't matter. I don't really think it matters the business. I feel like those are really the jams, man. Like,
yeah,
do good work and it'll get to other people.
Yep.
And talk to people.
Talk to people.
Right? Like,
literally talk to people. And I've had conversations with trainers that are like, okay, so you're at the gym and you're at home, but you're not putting yourself in any space to meet new people, to be in a different industry, to go to that networking event, you know, like you don't want to put yourself in front of people. How are these people going to get to know you? And like my social media is great, but people really buy in when we have a face-to-face conversation because they can tell I'm genuine. They can tell I really care. Like, and sometimes people kind of like, they'll question it. They'll question your motives or your authenticity. And at that point, I have no problem being straightforward and humble. And I'm like, look, I don't need clients and I don't need money. All that's going great. I need to make sure that you're good and you probably need my help. That's why I'm offering it to you. Usually I like to let people come to me. Like we're around each other. They're like, will you be my trainer? But if I ever get to the point where I offer you to be your trainer, it's because you need my help. And I can see that. It's not because I need money or clients. Like I've established that already. You need my help, and I know I'm the person who can get you to where you want to be. So, and people can tell like, okay, like she's serious about her shit. Like, it doesn't matter to me if you come or go. I think it matters to you if you come or go. Like your life is going to change. And that's what makes me feel purpose and fulfillment. So that enhances my life too. So like we all win, but like, don't get it twisted. I don't need at this point. I've established that already.
it's a good place to be.
Yeah. And it takes a long time to get there. Like I got certified in 2015. It's 2024 now. And that's what I tell people when they're like, oh, you have so many clients or you have such a full schedule. I'm like, my first years were not a full schedule. Were not so many clients. I was struggling to pay my bills. I was like constantly figuring it out, and I hustled and I worked and I met people and I put myself in uncomfortable situations, and I got up and spoke in front of crowds I didn't feel comfortable speaking in front of. And I've just done all these things to get here. And you know, my first year in business, like fully independent, you know, you're in business, your first 5 years, most people fail. Most people lose money. And I did well and I made money because of all the years where I wasn't doing well. And that's kind of what I try to explain. I'm sure you see this a lot. People in our industry get certified and think they're going to make money. I'm certified now. Clients should come to me. I'm like, that is not how it works. You're certified. Now you have the base, but you got to get out there and work. You have to hustle. It's taken me years to be where I am right now. And people see where I'm at. They don't see where I've been. And that's why I try to be very open, vulnerable, and honest. Like, there have been plenty of times, you know, especially in box gyms, you have your slow season. Oh, it's November and December. That's when everyone's on vacation and family holidays, and I'm not going to start till January. And I remember having years like, shit, I don't have enough clients right now. Like, these bills are due. Nobody's signing up for training. Like, what am I going to do? And when you're in it, it's like, oh shit. Like, but then you get past it and you learn every season what you need to do. And I don't have a slow season anymore. There's no such thing as a slow season for me anymore.
Consistent seasons is the ideal.
Yeah, consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work to get there. It's not for everybody.
It's not. How do you define or perceive love?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say that how I define or perceive love, and you know, there's so many like multifaceted layers to love, but if I had to try to shorten it up and just keep it simplistic, I think love is when you genuinely want with your whole heart for the other person across from you to feel 100% safe and happy at all costs, no matter if it's not with you, no matter if it is with you, but you have to change certain behaviors about yourself to make them feel more safe and more happy. It's like, it's this relentless giving to someone else. And, you know, when I was a little younger, if people would ask me, like, have you ever been in love? I would be like, I don't know. I don't think so. Because I used to see love as like this on and off switch. You're in love or you're not in love. You're in love or you're not in love. And I've had like 3 significant relationships in my life. Like, I'm very selective. I don't date a lot, date a bunch of people. Like, if I get into a relationship with someone, it's like very important. It's very special. And I hold it in very high regard. And like I said, I used to be like, oh, I don't know. Love, nah, I never been in love. And if you ask me that now, like, of the 3 people I've been with, I would say I've been in love with every person I've ever been in a relationship with, just to different degrees, different capacities of love. And where I'm at now, I would say, is like my most mature, developed idea of love. But in 5 years, it's going to be even more mature and developed. But I think like it's this cheesy, selfless thing where you just want them to be happy and safe, and you'll do anything, even if it means like putting yourself in harm's way for them to have that safety and happiness.
How do you find that person?
That's the $1 million question. I think in today's environment, especially in today's environment, we all know it. Dating is a shit show. It's hard to meet someone who's genuine, who like really cares. And I'm pretty old school because my parents were pretty old school. So like, I really believe in just like honesty and integrity and doing the right thing. And I deliver that when I am dating. I'm just like very authentic, very honest, very genuine. Like, I'm not going to cheat on you. I'm going to, like, I get myself in trouble sometimes from being so honest. I'm like, this is what it is. Like, we'll have a conversation about it. And I think there's such a lot of people really need validation. And so they don't necessarily present their genuine, authentic selves to you. They present what they think you want. And that's one thing that I've always like just been very against. And I got a lot of this from my parents, mostly my mom, is I'm going to show up authentically. This is how I act. These are my habits. This is how I talk. This is what I don't like. This is 100% me. You get to choose if you're into it or not. But if I'm like, oh, you like these things, so I'm going to be these things, like, that's not going to last forever. Eventually you're going to be like, she's not really like this. And then it crumbles. So I think I'm very like, I believe in like attracts like. So if I just be genuine, be a good person, do my thing, hard worker, like, those people will gravitate towards me. I do believe those people are very limited right now, especially in today's society. It's very like instant gratification and gimme, gimme, gimme. And me and my therapist talk about this a lot. And she's like, you know, like, you can just tell that you're not in pursuit of a relationship. And I'm not. I'm so happy with my life and how it is right now. My relationship with myself is so beautiful. And if I'm going to get into a relationship with someone, like, they have to come and match my energy. I need to have a better time with you than I do by myself. And it's tough right now. Social media and dating apps and exes, and people are just so, like, especially instant gratification attention. Everyone needs it all the time. So the second that you're not able to give it to them, you see how people get and how they act. And that's why I generally just keep my distance for the most part. But it's tough.
Where do you find these people?
Like, people worthy of dating?
Yeah.
You know, I think they're like, I would consider them to be like how I view myself. Very humbly, a needle in a haystack. And, you know, my best friend always makes fun of me because she's like, you're not going to meet the love of your life being at work and home every day. Like, you need to get out there and meet people. And I would say I'm not really in a place where I'm trying to find these people. People will come to me and I'll, you know, humbly, I hate to not sound like a bee, but like, I don't like people and I'm not attracted to people. Like, I like everyone as friends. But for me to be willing to be in a relationship with you, I need to respect you. I need to admire you. You need to have a great reputation. Like, it's just like a very like character type thing. And a lot of people approach me. I'm like, you know what? You seem like a good person. I'll give you a shot. You seem like a good person. I'll give you a shot. And you interact with these people until you realize like either it is a good idea or it's not. But I'm so particular in what I'm looking for that it's very rare to like meet someone who's on your same level. And especially for people like us, entrepreneurs, I'm working a lot. I'm trying to accomplish my goals and my dreams, and I'm not going to text with you all day, every day. I'm going to check in with you and we can spend time on the weekend, but my relationship is not my obsession. My life and my business is, and you come in and you compliment it, we'll do great. But if you come in and you're something that's going to pull me away from all of this, I'm probably just going to like slowly exit that situation. But it's tough out here, dude.
It is tough. And you have a certain standard of acceptance for what you're willing to, I don't even want to say give up, or to let in.
Yeah.
It's probably a better thing than to give up, right? You have a certain amount of time on the weekends where instead of you spending that alone, you're going to spend it with this other person. And if that time with that other person is stressful, and it's like, okay, I don't like, how long do I put up with this for?
Yeah.
This is going to be, maybe these are growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is this person, and I got to get out.
Yeah.
It's a hard line, because there is no line. It's just, it's so gray. Like, it's nothing but gray. It's not
so
like,
gray.
It's like, I got to work. Yes, I have to do these things. I'm going to get personal and close with my clients, and it takes a certain person to also be able to understand and respect that. It's like, oh shit, you're getting a text from some guy, some girl right now. It's like, yeah, like, I talk to my clients.
Yeah.
Like, I've drawn that line. Just because you don't think I'm going to draw that line, that's on you, man. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to send Instagram reels to my clients. Like,
yeah.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There should be, as long as it's respectful, there should be nothing wrong with that. And
that's where I think you really need to have just this level of respect, trust, and honesty. Because like in my life, like I'm going to be single for 5 years this summer. And people are always like, you know, like, how are you single? You know, like maybe they think I'm like a cute girl and I got like a certain life, and like, how are you single? But I'm single because I'm very particular of my life and who I'll let in. And I remember in my last relationship getting complaints like, you're always texting with your clients. You're always texting with your clients. I'm like, well, my clients are my family and they need me. And they are also the people that are helping me create this life of mine that you really enjoy being involved in and around. And that's why I really I operate on such a high level of integrity that's why I expect so much freedom and respect, because like I'm not that person who's going to go outside my relationship, and I'm not going to be inappropriate, and I'm not going to be dishonest, and I'm going to tell you everything that's going on. So you need to have enough, it's not just like enough trust and faith in me. You need to have enough trust and faith in yourself that you're with a solid person that you chose, and that if I'm texting them all the time, there's a reason for it. It's not no funny business. Like, there's reasons for it. And it's our industry. We're entrepreneurs. Like, that's what I would kind of explain. Like, there's no time that I'm off the clock. Just because I'm not at the gym doesn't mean I'm off the clock. This is my business. I need to post a new, like, reel. I need to check in with them on their nutrition. I need to, like, I'm always working. It's 24/7.
It is a 24/7 gig. It is even the things that are like I'm reading about. There's a personal development. I want to bring some good conversation and some good questions to the people that I'm with, and some that takes my own introspection and like my own looking into other books and other methodologies and other new certifications if I need those new things. Like, I got to continue to grow in that space. I got to be a good support system for them. I have to learn how to, all those hats still exist. Just because you're around doesn't mean that those hats now all of a sudden go away.
Exactly.
Like, I still got to do this thing, man.
And that's the thing. It's like, are you going to come in my life and compliment what I'm doing and make it a little easier on me? Because there are all these beautiful things about being in a relationship and being with someone that feels like your best friend and hanging out and making out and going on dates. And there's like such a cutesy thing to it. And I notice like when I am in relationships, I'm just like this much softer version of myself, and I'm more patient and I'm more caring. And are you going to come and bring all of that out of me? Or are you going to come and stress me out and make me feel like I have to choose between my business and you? And make me feel like I have to text with you all day, every day. And make me feel like I have to give you attention and validation 24/7. Because that is stressful, and it's going to hurt my business. And I've been at certain points in relationships where I'm like, wow, like my business is being affected. I'm not making as much money as I was. I'm showing up late. I'm canceling sessions on the weekends because you either need a lot of attention or I'm fucking arguing with you at 8 a.m. And it's like, you have to get to this point where you respect yourself so much that you're just not willing to deal with that stuff, even if it gets lonely. And it gets like lonely out there. And you have to put that perspective of what the most important thing is.
Oh, there's multiple things that I wanted to comment on. I'm trying to like organize them and not forget them.
Don't be afraid to stop me so you can get some of those out. Because I'll talk. I can talk.
I think that I'm not necessarily afraid. My thing is I want to be able, I need to be able to listen. Right?
You're a good listener.
Like, I appreciate it. I try to be. I really do. You have a lot to say, and it's very valuable. And then there's also that's kind of a cool piece there. Oh, yeah. That's kind of a cool piece there. But like, I don't want to stop the talk because there's still so many more things to pull.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see where you're going, and then your brain's working, and it's cool to watch. So, saying all that, kind of lost my mind. Lost my train of thought. But I think that the person that wakes up and argues at 8 o'clock in the morning is a different person.
I'm telling you.
That's a different person. Like,
literally.
You're going to start the day with this kind of energy. Like, and
that part.
You got to protect that. And because I'm going to walk into my next session now flustered.
Yeah.
And even though maybe that person doesn't see it, but I know it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be present with that person. All because because you're mad about something that doesn't really exist, or something that like didn't really matter. Like,
yeah,
you spilled water on the floor, right? Something like super minute.
Trivial. It's
trivial, and it's like, oh shit, like clean it up, and it's like, I can't believe you always do this. You're always like,
yeah,
what are you like? Who hurt you in your life, dude?
Literally,
God damn.
Like, who hurt you?
Yeah,
and I think it's like, I try to honestly not even be judgmental of these people. Because I'm sure at some point, especially in my early 20s, I was that person that I thought this thing was bigger than it was and it needed our energy. But you deal with it and you get past it. And it's like, I used to be over there, but now I'm over here because I've done so much introspection and analyzing and growing. And they're just not there yet. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't mean that they're not a good partner. They are just not where you are. And you have to humble yourself and say, like, I've been that girlfriend that is fighting about shit that doesn't matter, or feels a certain type of way about this, and you grow and you get past it. And this is like, when I'm dating someone new, like I speak very highly of my exes, and some people are cool with that and some people aren't. And that like also determines for me if they'll stay around. But like, I had my first like relationship when I was like 20, 21, great guy, like my first love in college, all that. And then my next one, like 24 to 25, and then maybe like 26 to 28. And I've been single for quite a while now, but I'm like, every single person I was in a relationship with taught me so much about how to be better for other people, but also to set my bar from the beginning of what I will put up with and what I won't. And when you don't need anybody and you don't need attention and validation, it's very easy to say, hey, like, no hard feelings. We don't really connect in this way, and this is where my life is going, but thank you. And I remember, when you're like 21 and you go through your heartbreak, it's like the end of the world. And I remember my dad telling me, just chatting with me. And he'd be like, hey, like, he's like super old school, right? He's like, listen, mija, you don't need to fight with anybody. You just say to them, hey, thank you for the good times. It's been fun, but it's not anymore. You go your way, I go mine. And I'm like heartbroken and crying. And I'm like, Dad, it's not that simple.
Little did you know.
But it is that simple. Like it sucks and, heartbreak sucks, but it's so valuable. You learn so much from it. And I was talking to my therapist about this recently. It's such a beautiful thing to be a human being that has your heart broken. Because how many people will never experience heartbreak because they don't put themselves out there? And as much as it hurts, it's just part of the human experience. Like you have to be open to that. It's all risk. If you're going to meet this great person that you fall in love with and have a beautiful life with, and they're your best friend and everything's better with them, you have to go through people. You're not going to like the first person you date isn't going to be your one.
For some people it is, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah. For some people it is. I'll give you that. But it's just like very unlikely.
It's because you don't really know what you really want in a relationship. You don't have any practice. You don't have any basis of understanding of how do I operate with somebody else.
Exactly.
Like, and then also, I don't think in the moment of that first relationship or the second or the third or whatever it may be, you don't always recognize, oh, like I didn't know that I didn't like that.
That part.
And it's not until after the fact that you're out of the relationship, it's like the way that person treated me like this, it actually wasn't that great.
Exactly.
I never really realized that. And that's one thing I never realized about one of my exes until after I was out of the relationship. I was so heartbroken. I was like, oh, wait, like this person like lied to me all the time.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I was crazy. And like, that's kind of sad. Like
you have that revelation. And when you have it, it's like, damn, how did I put up with that?
Because you just don't know.
Because you don't know any better.
Yeah, you don't know. And that's okay. Like you are where you're at in that moment, but then you get like, I think being present enough to say, all right, this is like, I got to get out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then you're out and you're like, okay, cool. Like I took something from that. Like, and then now you can move on to the next relationship and say, hey, these are my things. You can either be forward with it or you learn how to recognize, oh, this is something that's happening. And then this is how I stop that. Or I need to just vocalize it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I really don't like that you leave your stuff on the floor. Right?
Yeah.
It's that simple. I had it in my last relationship. I ignored it, and then I ended up being in a fight months later, and then we broke up for that stupid reason, right? Like, it could be something as small as that, where you're just like, hey, I'm just going to call attention to this because this is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. And I think it's very important for us to see both sides of the coin, right? Like, okay, this person really treated me in these ways, and like, I did not like that, and I'm not going to put up with that ever again. The first time I see a sign of that, it'll be a conversation. If it doesn't get fixed after that, that's about it. But then it's like seeing the other side of the coin where I reflect on relationships in the past and I'm like, damn, like I could have given that person so much more patience. I could have been so much more understanding. And like maybe they did do the wrong thing, but how I reacted was not right. And now I'm in the wrong too. And it's like nothing shows ourselves to ourselves like being in a fucking relationship with someone. Your triggers, the things that bother you, the things that hurt you. And I always say, like, it sucks when someone hurts me. It sucks. But it's so much more worse when I hurt somebody else. Because that shit sits with you.
That does.
It sucks, dude.
Yeah, that does not. Oh, it's
a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
I'd rather be hurt by someone than know that I hurt somebody.
It's not a good feeling.
No.
And it is nice to look back and maybe frustrating, but like, oh yeah, like I wasn't like the best communicator.
Yeah.
Like whenever I got upset, I retracted. And so now moving forward, like I got to recognize that and be like, hey, I need a moment. I'm going to take some time. And like, I have 15 minutes. Like I need to be back in 15. If you don't hear from me, then, you set up like an action plan.
Yeah.
And that's like the coolest piece about being in a healthy relationship. It's like, okay, I have 15 minutes. I talked to my therapist. We said that we would try this. So let's talk about it. And this is what we're going to try. And if it works, then great. And if it doesn't, like, let's see how we can go back and like make sure that it's like, okay, well, maybe instead of going for a drive, I'm going to go outside for a run. Maybe instead of going for a run, I'm going to go out for a drive. Something that's going to like make sure when I come back into the situation, I'm going to be my best self for you and for me.
Yeah. That's a hell of a point to get to. And it's like you said, each relationship you have will help you be better in your next relationship because now you're recognizing these things. So it's constant growth. And it's like, damn, like I'm going to be like an even better partner to this next person. And if that's my one final person, cool. And if they're not, we'll spend a certain amount of time together. We'll both learn and then we'll move on to other people. And like every person's going to teach you something about yourself and vice versa.
Or like they are the change that you would like to see at times, right? Like I've had partners that are just like, wow, like you're the most patient person. And like, how did that make me feel? Like that made me feel loved and cared for and valued. And like, I was allowed to be a mess when I was a mess, but then I was like, hey, it's okay. Come back. Like, let's talk about it. And it's like, oh shit. Like that sense of safety is something that I want to communicate to somebody else. So be more patient.
Like to make you feel it so much that you want to give it to someone else. That's a beautiful thing. Cause like I said, I've been single for quite a while now, but it doesn't mean I don't date and like have these, not relationships, but just like interactions with people over months where you're dating and you're learning them and they're learning you. And it's like, I learned so much in my last relationships, but now I learned even more. And I thought I knew a lot, but now I learned even more. And I think like some of the most beautiful situations, one I even learned recently, like in somewhere in the last year of dating is like, what really taught me and like solidified being patient with someone else is when I acted like a complete jackass and this person was so patient with me. And I was like, fuck, that's what it feels like. Like we had a situation, you were not in the right, but my reaction, like if once you hurt me, like I'm kind of mean and I'll only say shit that's true, but I'll fucking say it and it's going to hurt your feelings. And having those thoughts of like, man, I can't believe I said that to them. Man, I can't believe I talked to them like that. Man, they're probably not going to want to talk to me anymore. And then they just come at you with grace and patience. It's okay. You were mad. It's okay. We were drinking. It's okay. Shit happens. And it's like, wait, what? Like now like it sits with me now. Like I never felt such an impact. It's one thing for someone to tell you, be patient with others. It's another thing for someone to be patient with you. And then it's like, fuck, I want to be that way with everyone. I want to give everyone grace. I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And, there's a fine line. We all know those shitty people who are just shitty people and they're going to do you wrong no matter what. But most people are good people who just make mistakes. And when you have that grace, like there's no reason for crazy bad breakups. It's just gracefully exiting and recognizing that it's just not a compatible union. But it doesn't mean you have to hate each other.
That's right.
It's such a beautiful thing to get to.
When it does happen, it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
When it does happen, it is a beautiful thing. I think finding it is hard, especially somebody who's constantly a go person. You have these goals and these desires and like, I got to take care of my sleep, but I also got to do this and I got to work out and I have to train my clients. And so you're like so emotionally invested in so many different areas that it's hard to invite somebody in, because even if it's still a compliment, there's going to be moments in that relationship where it's still going to be a strain. Like it's not going to be perfect.
Yep.
And so am I going to be willing to be patient enough with them and myself and also the relationship itself? Like there's 3 people in a relationship. It's me, it's them, and then it's the combination of us 2 together. Like what does that look like? And that is hard to manage.
It is.
It really is.
It's like managing another business. Like you just added another one. And like you said, even if it's healthy and good, there's still going to be strain. It's still two people from different worlds, different personalities, different habits, different experience coming together. And even if it is good, it's still something you have to give your attention to. And you have to put effort and energy, and you have to, I always say, like, I don't get into relationships often because I take them very seriously, and it's a lot of pressure. And I'm like, okay, like if I want to be in a relationship with this person, I need to be a positive impact on them. I need to show up with good energy. I need to make them feel seen and heard and loved. I need to give them patience. Like, it's a constant work. It's just like managing a business. I have to always check in and make sure it's good. And like you said, even if it's healthy and good, there will be strain. So you have to navigate that.
There was a singer, and I forget her name, but I was listening to a podcast, and she was single, and she was like, I am not here to be a good wife, implying I am here to be a good singer, and that is it. And so that's all she did, and she was apparently amazing, and if somebody knows it, then I would appreciate the reference. But I think that people that I talk to that are older than me, when I first like that, those coaches that were like, hey, maybe you should take a rest. Maybe those doctors that, hey, you should take a rest. I had people in business that were like, hey, maybe you should, like, focusing on one thing, like, will allow you to find a lot of success in that one thing. And then after that, you can kind of move away, right? So this one gentleman, he got to the point where he owned a family office, who invested in mainly real estate, but owned like 175 different companies. He's like, I don't really like own 175 different companies. I'm an investor and an owner in them, but like I have somebody who owns a bar. Like I have a bar manager who knows that place. I have somebody who knows gyms. I have somebody, but I am just the real estate guy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, this is always my base thing. If you're trying to do, I was doing real estate, and so I was building houses. And it's like, I'm building houses, I'm training people, I'm getting my master's. It was like, okay, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Like at one point you are doing too much. And so I think it's also looking and saying, okay, do I want somebody in my life? Knowing that there is going to be a sacrifice of time and something else. Like, I'm not going to be able to have 50 clients. I can only have 40 clients. Is that something I'm okay with?
Yeah.
No? Well, then maybe I'm not good for a relationship, man. And like, that's kind of unfortunate, but like, where are your values and what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your time and your emotional, like some of your emotional energy? Then great. Maybe having somebody in your life is worth it to you. But if it's not, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But realize you're going to miss out on the opportunity of maybe love or children or whatever. Like, you can still experience love with clients. You can experience love for even the thing that you're doing, like the business, the podcast. It can be a love for that thing as well. But you're not going to have that person when you're 60, 70, 80 years old that's there anymore. When you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's all you got.
And it's like you said, you have to kind of decide if that's what you want, if that's what you're ready for, because you're always going to be juggling things. So it's like, what things am I willing to juggle? And I think we're all ready for it at different points in our lives. Like, sometimes younger people are ready, and that's like their whole thing is to be in love and then have a business like secondary. And then some of us, it's like, have a business and create the life I want and be in a position to take care of my family, and then like have love. And you kind of got to know like when you're ready for it. And I think, like you said, like being an entrepreneur and dating is way hard, I think, than anything else, because there's so many variants, and it's so unexpected, the things that are going to happen. And I remember in my last relationship, honestly, every time I'm dating somebody, I get the same comment. You really work a lot. You work a lot. You work a lot. Hey, you want to go for dinner on a Tuesday? No, I'm at the gym till 8 p.m. Like, we can go on the weekend. And I remember someone saying to me somewhat recently, like, you really work a lot for dating to be successful, specifically dating between us. And, first of all, the tone they said it in I didn't like, so I got a little spicy. And I said, look, my priority is my business right now. When I'm involved with somebody that I see a future with and I can take serious, I will change my work schedule. But until that happens, I'm not changing it. I'm going to do what I do. And it's like knowing your priorities. This is my focus right now. You're just a person I'm dating. I like you and all, but you're just someone I'm dating. Now, if you stick around and you show me these qualities and these characteristics, and I realize you're a very valuable person that I would maybe potentially want to settle down with, of course, all the respect to you, I'm going to cut my schedule. I'm not going to work late on the weekends. I'm going to take a day because I want to pour into you. But I need to see that you're that person. If there's nothing proving that you're that person, I'm not going to change anything. And I think it's more a respect and value when you do start changing your shit for someone. Because it's like, you know what? You are a valuable person. And I give all credit to good people. You're a valuable person that I could potentially see myself with. Absolutely, babe. I'm taking Fridays off now. You have to be willing to sacrifice when it's worth sacrificing for.
At what point are you striving for a perfection that doesn't exist?
Oh, you sound like my therapist right now, but I would say, because I do think like people hear me talk about it and they think I'm striving for a perfection. And my response to that would be, I'm not striving for perfection, but I need a person who's perfect for me. So I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect you to not have triggers. I don't expect you to have all your shit together. But I expect like the puzzle piece that you are and the puzzle piece that I am to mesh. So, and like, of course I have non-negotiables. Like having integrity and being an honest person is so important to me because that's where you get trust and safety. And I don't care how much money someone makes, not a factor, but you need to be passionate in your career. Whatever it is, you need to really be all about it. So I get to these points where I'm like, in fact, I'd prefer an imperfect person. I don't want some perfect robot. How much pressure is that for me? I'm not perfect. I have issues. I have triggers. I get emotional. I have things that I'm not proud of. I don't want to be with some perfect person. I want to be with a person that sees where I'm at and loves me and respects me anyways. And I want to love and respect this person so much that I'll take all your imperfections. It doesn't matter. Like to me, it's like constantly like putting puzzle pieces together. Oh, that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit. That doesn't fit. Oh, this kind of fits, but not quite. And eventually it's like, shit, this fits. And you're not perfect and I'm not perfect, but we fit. That's what's important to me.
I have this like thought, the way that I would like to operate around, like, I want to create a life that allows for me to, like, I like dinners. I will spend way too much money on good food. I like going out. A fine dining restaurant is kind of like my jam.
There you go.
But at the same time, I just, at the end of the day, I like spending a dinner with an individual. That could be at home. That could be going out, right? That's something I value. Even if it's alone, that's something I still really enjoy. I like going, often I like going alone to a dinner and like putting on a podcast or just talking to the bartenders or just talking with the waiter, right? Like meeting somebody new, having a good time. But I've created this life that whether somebody was there or not, I'm still going to be eating dinner at 7.
Yeah.
I'm still going to eat dinner at 8. And it's like doing the work before the competition. Like I've done all the form work. I know that my elbow needs to be here. My bench needs to be there. I've created my work career to allow me whenever I'm ready for that person to be included with my life, that it's a seamless fit. It's a 7 p.m., 8 p.m. kind of a dinner kind of thing. Not, all right, I'll change. I'm going to cancel on this because the likelihood that I'm going to cancel on a client is very unlikely.
Yeah.
But if I know I stop at 7 because whether it's for somebody else or for myself, I'm going to go have dinner, then I've created the opportunity that will always be there.
Yeah.
I like consistent dinners. I like every single night we're going to come together. How was your day? Dude, this was happened today.
Yeah.
Cool. And I talk a lot, so I'm going to tell you from start to end. I will give you reactions. I will give you the what that person said, what I said, what I thought, like all the different perspectives around each individual situation that I found valuable throughout the day. I drove here and I saw this fucking person, and I'm like right, like the whole progression, and then that person has that opportunity as well to either chime in at the time or like I'm asking for advice. Like it's our time to meet together because this is the person that I've trusted enough to let into this part of my life. I need to value their opinion.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to share with you and you're going to share with me. Like that's a mandatory. That's a mandatory. Yeah. And so like creating the life that allows for that other person to exist, not living my life for me and then hoping I find somebody that I'm willing to change for.
Exactly. It's like you said, having your thing the way it is and hoping that they can just mesh with it. And again, like not everybody will. And you kind of keep going through dating and meeting. And I think each time you get closer and closer to a person that will mesh with you. And, you know, you get to that point. That's why, like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. You just need to mesh. If you mesh, my imperfections, your imperfections, like we can figure it out together. But you have to have like just a basics of just meshing and meeting in the middle. And then from there, you can figure out everything else.
Interesting. It's interesting. I wonder, relationships are hard. How does somebody, what are the qualities that an individual needs to be a good partner?
I think for sure, selflessness. You have to really be willing to put someone before you and say, you know what, like, I want them to be comfortable, happy, and safe. So how do I create that space for them? And being a good listener. You know, this is what they need from me. Maybe they need a vent. Maybe they need advice. And something that I think is very underrated, being a good partner means having the ability to stand on your own. Because when you can stand on your own, I can stand on my own. If you're busy at work all day, that's fine. I'll see you when you get home. Some people can't stand on their own. Oh, my partner's busy at work all day. I'm going to text these other people. I need attention. I need validation. Oh, my partner's not responding to me texting, and I'm going to post a spicy pic on Instagram. I need validation. I need attention. Oh, you're not like up my ass 24/7. I'm going out to the bar with my girls to hang around these people. Like, there's just so much that I don't think people realize comes from the lack of being able to stand on your own and be alone. I love being alone. So it's like, all right, babe, if you're busy all day, like I'll see you when I get home. I'm going to have the best alone time with myself. I'm not going to go seek anything from anybody. So I think that's like a huge, huge one right there is like, be able to be alone, but also be able to be selfless, attentive. And it's like cheesy, but it's like just treat people the way you want to be treated. If these are the things that you need and they make you feel good and happy, they probably make that person feel good and happy too. And I think the better, at least what I see, the better relationship a person has with themselves, the better partner they'll be. If they don't have a solid relationship on their own, they're not going to have a good relationship with somebody else.
I could agree with that.
I think that's why it's so hard out here nowadays. Like, most people don't really have a relationship with themselves. They're just constantly busy and distracted doing anything else other than sitting with themselves. I think that's why there's so much like serial dating and swiping and hooking up and this person and that. Like, everyone just wants someone who's going to take the focus off of themselves. So you get to focus on all these people and all these dating apps and, oh, they made me mad. I'm going to go talk to this person. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to go talk to them. Or like, we all know those people who are always in relationships. Relationship. And it's like, damn, you spent more time being in relationships than you've spent being single. So how do you know anything about yourself? And I really value the people I come across who are just fine being with themselves. And it's like a treat when I come around. I think, especially in today's dating culture, that's like, it's so valuable to meet people like that.
It's kind of fun.
It's crazy. It's a game. It's a constant something. I think that's why it's important to like, you have your life and your career and the way, like everything that you've created, that's your base. And then you can let people here and there. But if other people are your base, you're always going to be in chaos. You have to have your foundation set and just choose when you let people in.
Those are wise words, I think.
I know. Part-time philosopher.
Part-time philosopher.
So what would you say is your best 3 qualities as a partner and your worst 3? Humbly and honestly with yourself.
Oh, yeah. No, we can get... Let's see here. Putting me on the spot. Usually I don't get asked questions. Usually I ask questions. So ask the question one more time, please.
Okay, so what are your best 3 qualities as a partner And your worst 3 qualities as a partner.
I think that these are hard to give out in short answers.
Do your best. And they can be long answers too.
Okay. I think that I am, let's go with my 3 worst qualities, I guess.
Okay.
First. I expect more patience towards myself than I give towards others.
Okay.
Aggressively.
What do you mean aggressively?
I think everything I do is pretty aggressive. Like it has like this sense of like, not like
an intensity?
intensity. Everything that I do, I think has a level of intensity. So, I mean, I can mess up multiple times, but it could be something small, right? Like leaving my towel on the bed. And I'll do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I've been talked to 3, 4, 5, 6 times about it. And it's like, oh, okay. Okay, finally, you got it on the 7th one.
Yeah.
If my thing was towel on the bed and that person did it once, I'd be like, hey, I really don't like this. Okay, got it. Second time, I was like, hey, I really don't like this. And then the third time, I'm like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Like, get moving, get fixing. Like, let's go. So impatient, very much so.
Well put.
Yeah. The second one, this may or may not hit for you or for some people. And you can I can take this one away if you don't think it works with this situation. Having a good concept of finances is not my forte.
Okay.
So I grew up, I always tell people I grew up poor, right? But we had a maid.
Okay.
And so not really, right?
Yeah.
But that's also another one. I'm going to put that in with that one. I don't like to clean.
Okay.
I'd rather pay somebody to clean.
That's fair.
Always. Every day. I grew up 7 days a week where there was somebody at the house.
Okay.
So I never had to. So, but the financial piece, like I'm going to spend money on you and on us, like on me, on you, it doesn't matter. And so I don't mind going out to eat every single day. I don't mind going out and spending probably too much money on a vacation or on something that probably like doesn't like, I have these shirts that are like $500 a piece. Like, do I really need to buy these shirts? No, I don't. I really don't. But like, when I was making like, I was like a lot of more money than I'd ever seen in my entire life. I was like, man, I'm so poor. Like, how am I making so little? And the person that I was with was like, okay, I want you to look up what the average national income is. And so I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, like I'm doing just fine. Like more than just fine. But I still had this like pressure of this is not enough. And so I was going to work continuously and endlessly and always talk about how I'm not making enough when I was making more than that person was. And it was like, how does that make that other person feel? Like they're not enough. If this is what I'm striving for and this is still not enough and it's more money than most people ever see in their lives, then what is that? Am I ever going to be satisfied? Am I ever going to be happy?
Yeah.
Is it ever enough? Not just for me, but for that person as well. So then I would imagine, and not that I imagine, I know that it makes that person feel like, man, I'm not going to keep up. Like I'm not going to be enough. And that's a really hard, unfortunate feeling to make somebody else feel.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfect one because finance is a huge issue in relationships. It's one of the leading issues. So it's very honest of you.
Yeah. And then my third one. This is good. These are tough ones. You're making me dig deep, and they're good.
The people want to hear it.
The people want to know. I am I think I'm an addict.
Elaborate.
I don't think I am an addict. Right? There's an acceptance of that. And so if I start drinking too much, I can recognize it, and then my self-worth depletes. One of the first things I started working on in therapy was self-worth. Very, very low sense of self-worth. And yes, confident, but like internally, it was just never enough. I'm not enough. I remember like my dad used to, I try not to talk too much about my parents because I feel like they sometimes listen, but it's true. And so it is what it is. And I'm sorry. And I love them very much. Most of the time, like if I did something wrong or I got in trouble, it was like, you are nothing in this house. You're nobody. And that like really kept with me for a very long time. And still to this day where I'm like, it doesn't matter what I do in my life. I will never be enough. So yes, I have, man, you're going to fucking make me cry.
Let it out, dude.
Yes, I definitely have struggled with that in the past, and I still do, obviously. And so whenever I get down these paths of consumption, and that could be alcohol, or I used to have other vices in my life that I can tell you off camera. I think I've talked about it on here before, but I'd still rather just do it off camera. That level of self-worth is then projected onto the partner. So I get messy and I get upset and I get sad towards them. And I've been very grateful to have people around me that have been more than supportive, but it is a battle.
Damn.
That is one that makes me very sad to have put multiple people through.
At least you recognize it and you're aware of it and you can speak on it open and honestly. That's half the battle right there. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, it's a tough one, that's for sure. So my 3 good ones.
Yeah, that's really good stuff.
and then we're gonna switch. Obviously, we're gonna have you do your 3 and 3.
Deal.
3 good ones. This is like where that low self-worth kind of idea comes in. It's like, oh man, what does this guy really offer, right? Holy shit. Like, what does Ben really bring to the table? Can I get there? I think I'm a good listener. At the end of the day, like with the person that I'm sitting with, they have undivided attention.
I would agree with that.
I don't know that I can. I think like if I say that I can make somebody feel, I think that's like manipulative. But like I understand that I am good at either way. I'm just making someone feel heard and like seen. Like I can see where seen.
Yeah.
That is something that I definitely do. And I think that in most relationships, that's not. In friendships and relations, like it's not always the most common thing.
I would agree. And
it's this very superficial kind of place of just like, oh, dude, we're doing great today. Oh, dude, it's so good. Oh, that's awesome, bro. Like, let's go to the bar. All right, cool. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Like, that's
a good one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is also a positive. I like to do like super cutesy shit, like get dressed up and go to like the Smith Center and go look at like a nice old timey show. Like, let's get into some nice suits. Like, I'm gonna buy, like, if you need something, I will buy you whatever you consider nice, and I will be like, God damn, you're looking good. Like, I can hype up, and we're gonna go out. And we're going to have a nice glass of wine. And we're going to, like, that.
That is cute.
Oh, I fucking love it. Part of it's for me, part of it's for them. Like, it really is. But, like, that's definitely something that I really, really cherish. quality time is huge for me. Like, and I guess listening kind of goes along with that, right? Like going out is one display of that. Sitting down and talking to somebody is another display of that. And I think just asking questions kind of goes back to the listening thing. This third one is going to be a good one. I wasn't always, but I am now probably much better. I am much better at recognizing my own feelings and then communicating that to my opposite party. So, hey, I am feeling super anxious right now. I don't feel comfortable with what's going on in this kind of a space. So I would like to communicate this to you. So moving forward, we have a plan of action, or that this is just isn't done. And I would appreciate that, rather than keeping the partner guessing, which I think is what I used to do. It's like, no, I'm fine. No, I'm good. But internally dying inside, I've gotten to a place where I can finally, okay, like, no, like and sometimes I have anxiety attacks. I have pretty severe anxiety attacks. Sometimes like I need to be able to communicate that, and not all partners are in a place where they're like, is it because of me? No, I am dying inside right now, and you are making it so much. I need a safe place, and I'm trying to communicate to you that I need a safe place.
Yeah.
And you are making this so much worse. I need help. I'm asking for help, and I'm telling you I need help in a way that's, I'm having an anxiety attack. This is what I need to walk outside, and these are the things that I need to do. And then if that, like, how could, like, so I think I'm very good at communicating where I am at emotionally with my partner. Very much so.
That's a huge thing. Because honestly, like, I feel like everyone makes everyone guess. And it's just so much extra stress, turmoil, and time than just laying it out there. So, like, that's a huge one. I commend you.
Thank you. Your turn.
Oh, boy. Okay. 3 not so great qualities. I can say I don't have a huge gray area with people. So like if I'm in a relationship with someone and there's not a lot of middle ground, I'm either like 0 or 100. And like maybe they do something that like I just don't find appropriate, whatever it is. I'll very like nicely, calmly just be like, hey, like, you know, in a relationship, like I don't really like this behavior. I think it's inappropriate, whatever it is. And they'll be like, oh, okay, boom. And that's it. And then maybe they'll do it again sometime later. And I'm like, hey, you know, I don't really like that. I'm just like letting you know, I know we talked about it before, like I'm just not into it. And then I have like a number, like you can do it 2 times. And that 3rd time, then I'm just like, yo, I fucking told you that. And now I'm just like, no filter. I'm going to tell you about yourself. This is what I think about you. You have no respect for yourself. And you over here acting like, I just like go hard on people. And I used to try to justify it and be like, well, like, I'm not saying anything that's not true. I'm just being honest with them. But I'm really breaking them down in my honesty and telling them about themselves. And they don't expect it because I think, like, I'm very chill girl, very patient and calm in the beginning. So, like, the first couple times you do it, I'm just so chill about it that I think when it finally gets me, they don't see it coming. And they're like, oh, shit, like, I didn't know you felt this strongly about it. And I'm like, okay, and it's probably because that's, like, as a kid, I could mess up on this thing 1 time, maybe 2. Next time after that, I'm going to get my ass whooped. There's no more talking about it. And so I think like I could give people more grace in that aspect. And some people, maybe because I'm so calm and patient, they don't realize how much it's actually affecting me and hurting me. And then they do it again. And I'm just like, you really hurt me. And now I'm going to hurt you too, verbally. And I'm very aware of it. And I'm always trying to get better at it. But that's definitely like, I just go 0 to 100. There's not this middle space. So... And I know that's hard for people to deal with, especially depending on their personality type, but that's a main one. It could probably also tie into what I would say another one of mine is I don't have a lot of patience either. I'm just like, hey, like we talked about it. My mom was pretty strict when we were kids. If I tell you 1 time, that's all I'm going to tell you. If I have to tell you again, You're going to get your ass whooped, or like, it's going to be serious. And I can remember, like, you know, like we all love our parents, but they weren't perfect. And I can remember being a kid, like, dang, can I just get some grace? Like, I'm a fucking kid. Like, I'm going to probably do it again. And, you know, when you're dating someone, it's like, it's so easy for you to know the impact of what they're doing because it's you, but they don't know. So maybe they will do it again. And me just having that patience of like, okay, I don't need to flip out because they didn't learn it the first or second time. If I really love them and care for them, I need to give them that grace. And this is saying that you're in a relationship with a good person that you've already validated. It's not for these assholes who are just do dirty, like people dirty. So that's definitely a big one for me, is just patience and understanding. And then, this is one me and my therapist talk about a lot. I believe that everybody should do things the way I do them, because I've done a lot of work to do most things the right way. So like, you should do it like me. I work out this amount of my life. So should you. I eat this kind of way. So should you. I resolve conflict like this. So should you. So I am like very much like, I'm so bought into the way I do things, because generally it is all pretty solid. I think you should be doing it all too. And that is not a good way to be. I know. It sounds crazy. But it's like, I also know that I don't have it all together. So, and like, that's a big thing. Recognizing that people do not solve conflict the way I do. I've had a lot of situations where like, I'm the person that if we have a conflict, we need to talk about it right now. We need to get it done. We need to get it solved. I can't go on acting normal until we squash the shit. And what I've learned from interacting with different personalities, some people are the exact opposite. They actually cannot talk about it right now. They need to calm down. They need to think. They need to process their emotions. And for them, talking about it right now is going to make it worse. And I'm such a pusher that I make things worse because we have to do it right now. And I would say I probably just learned that one recently. You know what? Maybe their way's better. Maybe their way of calming down and being less emotional. Because I've like, the times I feel the worst about myself is when I say things out of emotion. So it's like, you know what? I felt so angry about this when it happened, but 3 days later, it's not a big deal. And if I could be more like them and wait to talk about it, we'd probably have a much better resolution. So that'd probably be like my third one, is getting out of the mindset that everyone needs to do things the way I do and operate how I do just because I've been mostly successful. It's not across the board for everybody. So like, it's hard for me to admit those, but those are my things.
Those are good things.
Yeah.
Thank you for being honest.
I try my best.
And your 3 goods?
Oh, 3 goods. This is hard because there's so many. But humbly, my 3 best qualities, I would say for sure, especially like based on feedback I've gotten, I am loyal as fuck. Like there is no wavering to my loyalty. I would compare it to like the age of the samurais. Like their honor is so important to me, and like I'll never dishonor my person. I'll never cheat on them. I'll never lie to them. I'll never bring like dishonor to their name or our name. That's so important to me. And like, you know, nowadays everyone's like, I'm honest and I don't cheat. And like everyone can say it, but those of us who really don't do it, we know we don't. And those of you who do it, you know you do it. So there is certain people that just like, I have a code and nobody can break my code. And I mean, like, that's a reason for a lot of breakups, I feel like, is like cheating and being dishonest and all that shit. And my honor and your honor, since I chose you as a partner, is so important to me that I just don't waver on that shit at all. And, you know, like, I'm pretty outgoing, cool, cute girl. Like, there's plenty of opportunity to do it, and I won't do it because it's like me folding on myself. It's not me folding on you. And I've had like talks in relationships, you know, like I'm an outgoing girl. People come up to me like, you're just going to have to deal with it and trust that I will navigate it. And I'll tell them like, I'm not really being loyal to you. I'm being loyal to myself, and you benefit from it. And some people don't know how to take that. They're like, what the fuck? You should be loyal for me. But no, it's for me. Like, I know my integrity. I know that I don't want to do this thing. If I do it, I'm going to keep thinking about it. And I'm going to end up telling you anyways because I'll drive myself crazy. So why not just not do it? And I think like in today's climate, people are scared to talk about this. There's like a taboo. Like, I don't think it's wrong for people in relationships to want to have sex with other people. I don't think there's nothing immoral about that. It's human nature. What's wrong is saying you're not going to do it, expecting them not to do it, and then you go and do it. So there's like this conversation, at least to me, how I picture of it. Damn, maybe we're together for 10 years and like I am feeling a certain type of way. Then we have to talk about it. We have to have a conversation about it. And maybe we'll come up with something. Or maybe all we needed to do was talk about it and ground ourselves again. So that's like a huge, like, if we're going to war type shit, like loyalty. That's probably my best quality. Like, I pat myself on the back for that because it's not always easy.
It's a good one.
And then I would say I'm a good listener. I get told that with every person I have a relationship with, dating, whatever it is. And I enjoy listening to people. I enjoy just sitting back. Like when I'm first getting to know someone, I don't like texting a lot. I don't want to get to know you in text. I want to sit across from you and see your facial expressions. I want to see how you get nervous before you tell me about something. I want to see how your eyes water and your lip quivers when you start talking about this thing. And like, I'm just so into hearing people's stories and their feelings and their background. And you can see, it's like you said, like most people don't feel heard and seen. And I love to be that person for someone. I much rather hear someone talk about themselves than me talk about myself to them. And I kind of forget how valuable it is until I'm with someone. Then they're like, you're such a great listener. I feel like I can just talk to you. And like, I'm like, I love to learn about people. So spit it all out. I would say that's probably like for sure my second is just being a good listener. And you know, my third is that I am fucking fun as fuck to be with. Like fun as fuck. And this is a feedback I get from people, but I also recognize it. Like I just have a very like jovial, youthful spirit. Like we're going to go to the park and play on the weekend. We're going to go hiking and jump off rocks. We're going to jump into the river. We're going to get on that roller coaster. We got time before dinner. Like I just like to have an adventure. And I'm kind of quirky and weird. If you really get to know me, I'm actually like kind of weird. And this one gentleman, he told me one time, he's like, you know, like you're actually kind of a weird girl, but you're hot, so it works out. I was like, thank you. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just me and I love to have a good time. I love to play. I don't take things too seriously. I like to run and jump and hop and skip. And I don't mind if I scrape my elbow and scrape my knees. And I don't care if my clothes get dirty if we're out just having fun. And I'm just so unserious in that aspect. And you can tell adults aren't around adults like that often, that are like, let's just play and have fun and get dirty and kick back and like whatever the thing is. And my favorite part about it is that you'll notice that you behaving in that way gives people the freedom to be themselves and behave that way too. And, you know, it's like, oh, we're in a professional setting. Don't act like that. I have a laugh. If you hear me fucking laugh, my cousins always say it's like a witch cackle. I just laugh with my whole heart and chest. And like, I don't care if I'm in public. If it's funny, I'm laughing.
Oh, yeah.
And you can tell people like they expect other people to see them as domesticated. Like I should talk at a certain tone and I'm an adult. Those are kids. Don't act like that. And I'm like, no, like we're going to have fun. Like fun all around in the streets, at work, on a hike, behind closed doors. Like everything should be fun in a relationship. And that's something that like I really hold on to it. It's one of those things, again, I don't realize how much people value it until they're with me and they express like, we just have so much fun together. And I think it's important to be an adult who has fun. Everyone thinks like we're an adult now, we have to act like this. And I'm like, I'm still going to have fun and I'm going to run through the streets screaming and I'm just going to like enjoy myself and you're going to enjoy yourself more just from being around me.
Those are three very good ones, I would say.
I think so.
I relate very much to the last one. I get that one quite a bit. And I think part of it is the desire to not get, like, I can get bored very quickly.
That part.
So, like, I got to keep this going.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going to rely on somebody else to do it. So I'm going to be the person that brings this kind of energy, and we're going to have a good time,
Yep.
guaranteed. Whether you're here or not, we're going to have a good time. Or I'm going to have a good time, whether you're here or not. I like to ask questions. I have quirks that are like mental quirks that are like, I like to repeat songs oddly and like like for hours and hours and like days, and just like it's just kind of annoying. Honestly, like it's annoying to me.
Kind of annoying.
But like the holistic experience has always been, let's have fun.
Let's have fun. Like I always want to still have that kid inside me, and it's like I get to the points where I know I'm so annoying. But if I say I'm annoying, it's just like, I know you like me so much and you have so much fun with me that's annoying. And it's just like, who is this person that's just so happy and comfortable with themselves that they don't care if they look like a dork or a nerd, or if they fall down, or if they like don't look cool doing it. Like, we're going to have a good time. I like to go out. I like to go on adventures. I love to go dancing. And I'm that person, like, if no one's dancing, I'll be dancing. I don't care if I'm in the middle of the floor. I'll start the dance party. Or people will be like, oh, like, don't you feel weird? No one's dancing. I don't feel weird at all. I'm having a good time. And it's just something about being in that space that you can tell people feel liberated just being around people like that. So then it's like, fuck, I'm having a good time. And I don't have to try very hard. But because of it, you guys are having a better time. So it always circles back.
Yeah, I agree. I have 2 questions for you. And then we're going to call it.
Okay.
If you could talk to your mom today, what would you want to talk about?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. And if I could talk to my mom today, it's crazy. I had someone ask me like a somewhat similar question at one point, and they're like, if you could have 3 wishes, what would it be? And one of my wishes was to talk to my mom again, just one time. And they were like, oh, I thought like one of your wishes would be to bring your mom back. I'm like, I'm at such a point in my life where as much as it hurts, like I see why it happened, and I see how it changed me and how I grew and how I developed. And I would not be the person I am today if I didn't go through that. That shit changed me. I was so ignorant to life before that, not that compassionate. And I became so much more just empathetic. Like I connect with people. I feel people's pain. Like I used to be so unemotional before that. And like bad stuff would happen and I wouldn't care. Happy stuff would happen. Cool. Sad stuff, whatever, like just blah. And my mom would always tell me like, it's okay to be emotional, Heather. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let your emotions out. And I was just like, everything's a joke. And nowadays, like I cry all the time. Songs, music, memories, holidays, I just fucking cry. And I think all the time, like if I could speak to my mom one more time, I would tell her like how grateful I am that she was my mom for 19 years. And I would tell her how much I fucking miss her so bad. Like, I think all the time that I just wish I could hug and smell her one more time. Like, when you just hug your parents and you smell them? It's such like a safe, free feeling. And I would tell her that I forgave her for expecting her to be this perfect adult, because they're not, and they're going to make mistakes and make us feel bad, and they get fucked up from their parents, and they're just trying to be the best they can while also still helping us be the best they can. And I would just tell her like what a good job she did and how hard I'm trying to be everything that she wanted me to be, and like be this good girl that handles her shit and doesn't take no shit from nobody and is honest and doesn't cheat, lie, or steal. And like I try to live every day like she's watching me. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I just like, I wish I could tell her how good a job she did and how important she was and how much I fucking love her and how much I miss her. And I think all the time, I wish I could have met my mom when she was a kid and tell her how amazing she was going to be. She did not have a good childhood, and you saw that a lot in her as an adult. And I just wish I could just tell her like, fuck mom, you did a great job. Like I'm doing so good, and not in materials and shit like that. I'm like, I'm such a whole person inside because of you and the things that you taught me and the way you were honest with me. And I would just give her all the credit that I never gave her, because you're a teenager and you just think your parents are just harping on you for no reason. And I told my therapist one time, like, I didn't know I was going to grow up to be the adult I became, because I'm so proud of myself, because I do right by people no matter what, at all costs. Even if nobody sees it, I do right by people. And that's because of her. Like, she was such a high integrity person, never lie, cheat, or steal, never bully anyone, stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. And I just am like, fuck, like, can she see this? Can she see everything I'm doing? Does she knows that, like, I kept my end of the bargain and followed everything she taught me? And if I could talk to her one more time, I would tell her all of that. I would tell her everything I'm doing and the way that I'm treating people. And even that's not always perfect, but then I apologize and I like talk to people, and I'm just always trying to do everything she taught me. And I would give anything in the world to have one conversation with her and tell her what a good job she did. Sorry, if I keep going, I'll start bawling.
How does little Heather remember mom?
Dude, she was just such a fucking badass woman. Like, that's where I got it from. Like, my dad's a great gentleman, but she was like the spicy one. But she was a biker chick, right? So she was like in motorcycle gangs. She had her Harley Davidson, her leather, her patches. She was all tatted up, little redhead firecracker from Jacksonville, Florida. Like, she was a little fireball. And, you know, she had a rough childhood. Her mom died when she was 11. And her dad was all fucked up and alcoholic and abusive. And she got shipped off to live with her grandparents. And she just had a rough childhood and upbringing. And despite all of that, when we were born, she was a partier, her and my dad. She was a dancer, he was construction, they were both doing drugs, alcohol, like, it was a shit show. And somewhere around me being 5 or 6, they separated, they stopped partying. She really, like, I'm not too religious, but like, Jesus and religion saved my mom. She got into religion and she would go to church and I'd go with her sometimes, and like, she stopped drinking, she stopped doing drugs, she got out of dancing. Like, it was just this whole new world. And I just remember always looking up to her because fucking everybody liked her. Guys liked her, girls liked her, like, kids liked her, old people. And she was this person that you would look at her with her leather boots and her tattoos and you would have a perception of her. And then you would talk to her and she was the sweetest, nicest, most humble, loving human being. She would fucking pick up strangers off the side of the street and give them rides. I remember her and my dad arguing about that shit when I was a kid. And I remember my dad would be like, Denise, you can't pick people up while you have the kids in the car. And she'd be like, but they needed a ride and they were at the bus stop. And she was just such a giver. And I remember always wanting to impress her. And like, what impressed her was like getting good grades and being intelligent and like being ahead of my time, I guess. And I remember just wanting to be like her. Back in this time, this is like the 90s, you didn't really have like moms that showed up to school meetings all tatted up. Like, that wasn't a huge thing. So like, you could tell other moms would kind of judge her. But then as soon as you interacted with her and talked to her, like, she was such a giver. And she volunteered at the homeless shelters. And there'd be like people in her like network that like somebody had a sick family member with cancer and my mom would go help them. No pay, no reason really. People would be like, oh, like, why are you helping them? It's just who she was. And what I loved is that she exemplified every part of a person that I thought was important. And it's like, you can still be a badass and stand up for yourself and make sure people don't give you any shit, but still be loving and humble. And you can still be this Jesus following, church band playing, like, super religious lady who goes and rides with your motorcycle gang on the weekends. And it was like, I always remember, like, I want to be like that kind of woman when I grow up. Like, a badass, but still nice. And everyone likes you and you do for others, but you still don't let anyone walk all over you. And I remember when I was a teenager, she told me one time, so her and my dad separated when I was like 5 or 6. And when I was a teenager, we would talk. We would have like serious talks, and she would let me into her life. And I remember she told me one time, you know, the best decision I ever made in my life was having kids with your dad. He's such a great man. And like the way she respected my dad, and they weren't together. And nowadays, people don't act like that with each other. They get their kids involved. It's all messy. And she talked so highly of my dad because he was a man worthy of talking highly. And I just remember being like a teenager and like, you guys haven't been together for years. And you say the best decision of your whole life was that you had kids with my dad. Like, and it just made me love her so much more and love my dad so much more. And I remember being a teenager, she would always cry on Mother's Day. And I never really understood it because I'm a teenager and I didn't know shit. And I remember like, I even asked her one time, I must have been 12 or something. And she was crying. She would cry every Mother's Day. And I'd be like, well, like, but why are you still crying? It happened like 30 years ago. Because in your head, you're just like, oh, it's a long time ago. It doesn't hurt anymore. And she would tell me it doesn't go away. It doesn't leave. Like, it's still here. And I never understood it until she passed away. And like, I cry every Mother's Day and every Thanksgiving and on my birthday. And the thought of having kids and her not being that grandma, like it kills me. And it's crazy because as an adult, I know now what she was going through. And she just had so much turmoil in her life, yet she still showed up for so many people. And, you know, a testament to my dad, something he told me only maybe 5-6 years ago, he told me, you know, I just feel so happy that I never have to worry about you because you're just like your mom. You're never going to put up with anyone's bullshit, and you're always going to make sure you're taken care of. And I think dads worry about their daughters a lot. And like, maybe that's why they want their daughters to find a good man who's a provider and a protector. And, you know, my dad doesn't pressure me too much about that stuff. He might ask here and there, but like, he knows I'm always going to be okay because of who my mom was. And to hear him say that, like, I've just never really had to worry about you because you're so much like your mom. And they haven't been together. Like, you don't hear exes talk about each other like that often. And it just gave me such a profound respect for her and him and relationships and co-parenting. And I really think I'm everything she thought I would be and how she raised me to be, maybe even more. And I put so much effort into it. And she's in the back of my mind all the time because of it. But that's how I remember her. And that'll never go away.
Beautiful. Where can people find you, Heather?
You can find me, you can easy access, check out my Instagram. It's Heather Hernandez with a Z .lv. You can check out selfmadetrainingfacility.com, check out our facility, see what we going on there. But yeah, if you want to connect with me, you want to train with me, you want to get on a podcast, you want to be friends, slide me a DM and I'll reach back to you. I'm always up for just making new connections and doing things like this. Like, I've really enjoyed our time together and getting to know you on an even deeper level. Same. You're a good host and a good listener.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you, guys. Love y'all. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Ben Nevares podcast. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, and all other major podcast hosting platforms. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes.